You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks. Happy Friday, everybody. We got a great show for you today. I want to say hi to everybody over in the chat. And, man, we got a lot going on. I was just being informed that Graham Allen is about to drop a new interview. And if that drops while we're watching this, we're probably going to pull that up and go over that. Again, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share our content. If you'd like to become a member and support us, make sure you go down to the description below. There's a link there where you can become a member for a small monthly fee. It goes a long way, and we appreciate it. Also, make sure you're following us at least on X. So go over to X if you'd like to become a subscriber and support us that way as well. Kind of the same deal. A few dollars a month goes a long way, helps us out, and continues to help us to put out the truth. Well, we got a great guest for you today, and I got to watch her for about 2 hours-ish. I got up to the point where they started talking about Zionism. But without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and bring on LisaKnows. Lisa, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate you.
Hello.
If you will, just take a moment to tell everybody about who you are and kind of why you got thrust into the spotlight of everything that's going on, which has been great in my opinion. So kind of take it for the, oh, and folks, by the way, down in the description below is all of her social media links. Please go follow her and support her as well. So take it away.
Yeah, I'm Lisa. I live in the Phoenix metro area. I've been married for 15 years. I'm a mother. My background is in pro-life activism. So I've been involved in pro-life activism for 13 years, specifically like the pro-life versus pro-choice debates and doing live debate and stuff like that, as well as just presenting like the pro-life argumentation of like why you should be pro-life and be anti-abortion. And then also I kind of dabble in like reproductive ethics and like the conversation around that as well. But when it came to the Erika Candace stuff, that just became, I just couldn't take watching what I believe is an innocent woman just, I mean, and the arguments are so brain rot, and they just got more and more ridiculous and more like insane. And so, I mean, I've kind of been talking about the Charlie Kirk stuff, obviously, since he, got killed. I think that affected a lot of us. But then all of this started happening, and I was like, somebody has got to start pushing back on this. And I was primarily familiar with the TikTok side of things, not so much X until more recently, when I started coming over on this side of things. But yeah, on the TikTok side, I didn't really see hardly anybody pushing back on it over there. It's just like the candy cults over there, unfortunately. And so I was like, dude, my forte is looking up research and facts and like digging into all of that. Again, primarily I do that on the abortion side of things, right? But that's my forte. Like if I get passionate about something, like hold my beer, because I'm gonna take you for a ride. Because if like I said, when I get hyper fixated on something, I can dig into things like nobody's business. And so I mean, that's basically like I started seeing people talking at that whole, like Nisi dropped her whole video saying that Erika like groomed this 15-year-old girl. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, okay, knowing what I know about Erika Kirk right off the jump, I have a feeling that this is insane, but like, let's go ahead and dig into it and find out. So, I spent 2 days digging through these old Twitter accounts from 2013, 2014, and just literally screenshotting everything, piecing together kind of like the overall picture of like what we were looking at, and presented it and made the first 2 videos that you guys saw. And essentially everyone that was presenting it to, they were only giving like the tree view, right? I'm the whole, like, we need to look at the forest, not just the trees. And they were only giving you that snippet instead of doing like the zoomed out version of like, okay, what is the whole context here? What is the whole picture of what is going on? And I was like, okay, we can't just do this close up snapshot, which is right out of Candace's book of this, only giving that perspective. And that absolutely drives me insane. As a detail oriented person, I can't stand that. It irritates me to no end. And so I was like, let's really actually dive into this. And once I did, the full picture, I believe, became very clear. And it was not at all that Erika groomed a 15-year-old child. That is absolutely and utterly ridiculous. But yeah.
No, Candace is really good. What she does extremely well, she has a PhD in it, is making the benign suspicious and then omitting any sort of information that negates the false narrative that she's pushing. That's what she does. And she intentionally omits, and we've covered it a million times on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot going on during your interview, and he even dragged me into it and named me personally in that. I'm going to throw that up. I did see that this interview with Graham just dropped, and we're going to watch that in just a moment. But I do think that even this little snippet that we're going to show kind of, and folks, I do recommend that you go watch the full debate with LisaKnows and Zach Costello. You can go Zach Costello on YouTube. You can go check him out and watch that full debate. She does a really, really good job. He spent a lot of time filibustering and kind of moving the goalposts, just like all Candace folks do. And I want to say this right now. Zach, if you are out there, if you would like to come on my show and talk, and we can do it very peacefully, friendly, and I don't even want to have a debate with you. I want to have a discussion. Mm-hmm. And I know you've reached out to me in the past and asked me to, and I wasn't interested. I am. I'll have you on. But I'm going to throw this video up real quick, and we will talk about what he said in this one little clip.
Candace is doing. She is putting this open source investigation out there. She has extremely wide reach. She has a lot of connections. She has a lot of people that can do investigating and digging on these things that can then report back to her. This is something that has never been done before. I understand.
Now, I want to address that right now, and this is something you brought up later on as well. Like, she does have a lot of resources. She has a lot of money, and she never brings on multiple eyewitnesses. She's never gone to UVU, which you highlighted, which I appreciate. You were like, Gary is one of the few small content creators that actually went there and is doing a real investigation, has brought people on, has brought lawyers on, which we've done. Candace has never had a lawyer go through the charging documents and saying, hey, look, this is the reality of this. You can't fake these things, because the defense is going to be able to have access to this, and they're going to be able to go through this and figure out if it's true. The defense attorneys for Tyler Robinson have the same forensic abilities that the prosecution has. They're going to hire these specialists to go through the text message to forensically analyze if those are real. The same thing with all of the different chat rooms and things that he was involved with. So all of that evidence, they're going to be able to get their own ballistic specialist. They're going to be able to get all of these things. They have access to it. So there is almost no way that Andrea Burkhart, a very well-known, successful criminal defense lawyer, she said, there's no way that they faked all of this stuff. It just not going to happen. She's like, and she even said, like, yeah, there are times when, a prosecutor or the police or law enforcement will fake evidence. She's like, it does, but it becomes very obvious, very quick. And it's not just like, there's so much evidence that is against Tyler Robinson. It is really hard to get away from trying to propose something else in its stead that has zero evidence, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so much of this is such a reach, and it's just, yeah. I mean, Zach tried to give a little of his commentary on that today, so I mean, just let him speak for himself, I guess. But at the end of the day, I even asked him. I said, "Have you read the affidavit against Tyler Robinson?" He did say that he has read it, and I was like, "Okay, well, that's like 1%." Like, if even, like, not even 1% of what they have available, right? Like, we're barely touching the surface here of what is available. And I mean, yes, we do have to wait for the trial. We're going to have to wait for a lot of this stuff to come out. And I know that that's frustrating for people to have to be patient, but especially for those of us who are claiming to be Christians, like, you don't just start writing a narrative. You need to be patient and let the process play out. Like, that's how that goes. And Like, I get it. We all want an answer tomorrow. I would love to do that. But unfortunately, that's not the real world. That's not how these things work. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
You are going to turn over stones or put leads out there or pursue avenues that are that turn out to be nothing. Like, that doesn't mean that the entire thing is irrelevant. It doesn't mean that the entire thing is debunked. Like, that's totally unfair to do. And that being said, I covered a number of different sources throughout all of this. Gary Melton, you're going on Paramount Tactical tonight. I covered a lot of what Gary was saying early on. I appreciated his perspective, ex-military gun guy. Okay. When Candace shared the video of the bullet not exiting out of Charlie's back, Gary himself was extreme.
Okay, so first of all, I want people to realize this. I said that he didn't have an exit wound day one. And matter of fact, you can go for I'm getting ready to play a small clip of this video. I knew there was no exit wound because we had multiple angles of it, and I was getting raked over the coals in social media. They were like, no, there's definitely an exit wound. Or people were trying to say that wound was an exit wound, which also made zero sense just because of the physics involved. So it wasn't because Candace Owens said anything. Gary had already looked at this hours on end, and I knew there was no exit wound because there was no evidence of an exit wound.
Extremely skeptical about what was going on. He even said that a 30-06, like, that is highly unlikely that could happen. And his proposal was that Charlie was wearing body armor, and he went through a number of different body armors. He bought body armor to bring it into his show, to show everybody, because in the video you could clearly see Charlie's nipples and the outline of his breast when he was sitting there. And Gary was like, he had to have body armor on because there's the likelihood of that bullet not passing through is extremely unlikely. It turns out he was not wearing body armor. So to use this example, does that mean that because Gary was wrong about the body armor, that his entire investigation should be completely debunked because he was wrong about an avenue that he was exploring? Like, it's a totally unfair standard to apply to Candace, yet you don't apply it, and nobody applies it to anybody else.
Hey folks, Gary here with Paramount. Today is September 11th. This was the first video that I released on this entire subject. September 11th, early morning, 11th, 2025. It's around noon. I'm sure many of you, like me, are very upset at the fact that Charlie Kirk was assassinated yesterday. And I think anytime that any sort of event like this takes place, especially hours, even days afterward, there's just a lot of bad information, a lack of information. And in that vacuum of not having good information, there's a lot of speculation that goes on. People start going through videos and footage and pulling out every little pixel and, you know, turning fairly normal and innocuous things into these grand conspiracies. And it's a little, boy, did I call that. All right. I mean, I don't think there at that point I had any idea how nuts it would actually get. This is the day after Charlie Kirk was killed. Tough to digest. It's a little tough to understand what's going on. And it just makes everything very, very confusing. Well, last night after this event took place, like many of you, I was, trying to figure out what was going on, waiting for additional updates from authorities. Hey, have they caught this person? All this other stuff. And in the process of that, I came across all kinds of weird, speculative, and or, honestly, I still think a lot of this stuff is put out. Well, there's people trying to get views and clicks and just saying whatever. And then on top of that, I do think there's always a certain amount of disinformation that people are trying to put out to just confuse people, to instigate and provoke people as well. So as I was up looking for more information last night, some of the crazy conspiracy theories that I saw were things like, Charlie Kirk was actually shot from the rear. This was actually, he was staged by Charlie Kirk. He's still alive because of supposed hand signals from his own security detail. This was also staged by Charlie Kirk. So there's a lot of nonsense out there that's going on that I don't believe any of it. So what I want to do is just kind of give you some facts, and we're going to go through some of the footage real quick of what took place and just give you some solid information, or as best as I can provide. And the other thing that I would really encourage you to do is be patient, wait, don't jump onto social media, don't buy into every single crazy conspiracy theory. Wait till you have all of the information, or at least more information than we have now, where you can do a better job logically assessing the facts before we go down some deep, dark paths. All right, so let's just jump into it. I'm gonna try to keep this as clean as possible so people don't have to relive this stuff. Look, when you have people like Charlie Kirk, who I'm a big fan of, and we have consumed as much reasons that certain entities wanted Charlie Kirk dead is because he was so effective. He's one of the most convincing, compelling, articulate speakers on the traditional American side of the aisle. We'll just leave it like that. And he was extremely effective. So that's why they want him dead. But that's also why that we that are fans of Charlie Kirk find this so traumatic, right? Because we feel like we know this person. Because even in a virtual sense, we spent so much time with him. I think we need to live by Charlie Kirk's example. He would not see the truth. He was able to defend what he believed in, and he would not back down. And that's what made him a real threat. He was able to do it respectfully. He was extremely compelling. He was extremely good. And you could just watch him in his videos. Like this person that was so militant against him, you could see their mind and their opinions changing as he spoke. That's what made him such a threat to the left. And look, I believe the left is a cult. I believe that it is authoritarian, and I believe they are willing to go to any lengths necessary, whether it's demonize people, call people bigots, racists, Nazis, put them in jail, have them canceled, silence them. This is what the left does. But we need to follow Charlie Kirk's example. Don't even entertain any sort of violence. You need to protect yourself. You need to stay armed. You need to stay ready. But you also need to be able to defend your truth and not back down, not even an inch. Stand up for what you believe in. Debate. All right, and this goes for all the Candace cultists out there as well. Like that's why Lisa, we're not backing down from this. And as a matter of fact, about mid-September, I had already went to UVU. I had already basically come to the conclusion that like, hey, the facts, what is the truth on the ground matches what's going on with Tyler Robinson. And I was ready to move on to something else and start covering other things. But when I started seeing what Candace was doing, just like Lisa felt, like my conscience wouldn't allow me to go do something else. That's when I started bringing the fight to her, because I'm not going to let Charlie's legacy, his reputation, his family be attacked, TPUSA be attacked. I couldn't do it. And Charlie wouldn't do it. And that's why every person out there, you got to stand for the truth and not just be nice and be like, hey, you know what? It's okay. They can propose whatever they want. Really doesn't hurt anything. It does hurt something. Just like Lisa talked about in her debate with Zach, is when he was talking about what he thinks about Erika Kirk and what he thinks about TPUSA, she said, well, you know what? It's because Candace did her job. She did her job really well. She's convinced all of you that this good organization is evil with zero real evidence. That's what's going on here. Now, I go on to talk about, hey, you know what? I think he was wearing body armor, and I show a lot of evidence and pictures that ended up being wrong later on. But I also want you to see what happens later that evening. Make sure that your voice is heard, because that's what Charlie Kirk did, is he made people realize, hey, there are a lot of other people that believe the same things as I do, and I'm not going to be silenced.
Do you believe that I owe you a mea culpa? And there's nothing I hate worse than being wrong. And I try really hard not to be. But if and when I am wrong, I'm going to come clean and make sure you guys know when I'm wrong. I'm going to come clean and tell you that I'm wrong, so that, you can always trust us.
All right. I guess I basically said, hey, look, there's new evidence that says Charlie Kirk was not wearing body armor. That was the night of September 11th. And I came out immediately and said that because it is important to me to get things right. And I was speculating based on what I could see in a video. But this is the difference between me, and I guarantee you Lisa would do the same thing, and most honest brokers of information will do the same thing. We try our best to use evidence and get it right. But when we're wrong, we're going to come back and tell you. That is something that Candace Owens never did. Now, I will also, just to make sure we're straight, is later on, I did continue to look for, and the whole time I was like, hey guys, I could be wrong on this, because I got additional information that Charlie Kirk was indeed wearing body armor. And folks, there is some extremely high-tech body armor that is very difficult to see. And I want you to look at right here. This was something I got from Ryan Matta. This is the first time I'm sharing publicly. First time. Look at the date right there. It's September 17th. I'll just play this because I zoom in on it and I show you the second text on this. All right. Someone I know is related to the surgeon that worked on him. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. All right. So from there, I didn't share this. Didn't share it because I wasn't sure about the source. And now we know the source was extremely wrong, and I wouldn't share anything that Ryan Matta does, but I kept this, and all I was doing was trying to confirm or deny this additionally fairly quietly because I didn't know if it was true. And then the moment that I had full confirmation from somebody there on the scene, Brian Harpole, as a matter of fact, that he wasn't wearing body armor, I came out and I said, hey, yes, guys, I can definitively say at this point, he wasn't wearing body armor. But this is the difference. And nothing I ever proposed was defaming people and slandering people and destroying someone just for the sake of pushing a narrative and being right, which is exactly what Candace Owens continues to do. And that's why it's so evil and it's so offensive to me and clearly offensive to you, Lisa.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that the threshold for accountability and integrity has just been completely shot to hell at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think people even know what real journalism is supposed to look like, because it's gotten so skewed. And so, I mean, we already had a bad history. We've already had such a breakdown just over the last, I'd say probably decade with, CNN and MSNBC and just all of that, right? Running all the time. And then now you add Candace Owens into this mix. And I don't know if people really remember like what a good piece. I'm almost tempted to tell people, like, go to YouTube, pull up some like investigative like journalism piece that somebody ran from like the 90s or the early 2000s and actually watch that, because those people back in the day, I mean, they had to dig into this stuff. And the mark of a good journalist, what's supposed to be, is non-biased. You should watch their entire breakdown and you should never know their personal opinion on it.
Yeah.
You should never know their personal feelings on anything. At the end of the day, you should walk away only having the information, and then it's literally give the information and let the audience decide for themselves. That's how journalism should be done. We know that Candace Owens is most definitely not doing that. She is introducing one side of things. She's omitting very important information just to put forth like her specific narrative. You absolutely know her feelings. It's all over her face. It's all over her her emotions in her show is so like, it just comes off of her constantly how she feels about things. And that's completely not how this is supposed to be done. And I'm not even a journalist, okay? Never took a journalism course in my entire life. I'm just saying, like, that's not how these things are supposed to be done. And anybody that has memory, that's old enough to remember back to before this was even a question, like, we have some memory of what this is supposed to look like. I think we need a refresher on it. Even I, as a millennial, unfortunately, don't have a lot of resources to pull from. We should have more. It's really sad that we don't. But
well, you don't even need that long of a memory, because you can look at something very similar to this that was going on just a couple of years ago. And that was when the mainstream media was going after Trump. Like, the parallels between the mainstream media and going after Trump and the way that Candace Owens conducts herself and the way that she's going after TPUSA and Erika is the exact same. It's all reliant on anonymous sources. The narrative always goes one way. There is never anyone that's supposedly behind the scenes that none of us can confirm and actually, says exonerates Erika from anything. There's nothing. And there again, what we will also see is how the mainstream media would use exaggerations and just straight up lies to push the narrative that they wanted. And we were all so sick of it that we started going to independent journalists on social media. And now what's happening with Candace Owens, and I mean, just from a technical, objective standpoint, folks, if you are an honest person, what you can say is, if I asked you, what is the actual evidence that Erika Kirk was involved in this, that Israel was involved in this, that the French was involved in this. We have zero actual evidence. And from a journalist's perspective, just objectively judging whether or not what Candace Owens is doing is technically correct or even morally correct, I think in ethically correct. Like, we can sit there and look at that and just, I mean, the answer objectively is no, it's not. None of it's done correctly. She's relying on her inbox. Like, this whole thing is a joke.
You
Like,
got the
everybody's looking
ballpark. You got the ballpark. Candace Owens is in the parking lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, she's not even in the ballpark.
No. Look, if Candace Owens was reporting this way on any other person or any other group, like, nobody would stand for it. It has been, she's taken advantage of the fact that TPUSA and Erika Kirk is reeling from the loss of Charlie Kirk. And there's a lot of other things going on there, but like,
Don't you know she's the only one grieving him? She's the only one that cares about Charlie. So tired of it.
Well, let's do this. What were some of the main points of contention for you that Zach brought up that maybe you didn't get to address in the way that you wanted to?
I mean, I wanted to, so basically, and I told him this going into it, I said, I watched so I presented my information before Candace dropped it on her show. So, because this narrative was already running online before Candace Owens got a hold of it, which, again, another sign of a not true journalist. She's allowing the audience to lead her where it's going. Like, she's allowing them to write this whole narrative, which, again, that's not how professional investigative journalism is supposed to work. The audience should not be leading you anywhere. You're supposed to be leading them. You're supposed to be giving them the facts and the story and what's happening, right? And so this whole thing was already taking off online. I dropped my videos, and then I think it was 2 or 3 days later that Candace then ran her episode. And then that's when she added a whole bunch of things into this narrative that I never even dreamed could be added, but here we are. And so basically, I went through her segment at the beginning of that episode, and I just broke down basically, here's her claim, here's the inconsistency with that claim, here's the claim, here's the inconsistency. And I mean, and I also had all of the actual tweets, screenshots of the actual tweets that corroborate that those are just blatant lies. And again, an investigative journalist, she has access to these same Twitter accounts that all of us do. Yet in her breakdown of Erika Kirk groomed a teenager, she shows one tweet. She shows literally one tweet from this old Jillian account, and it is the one where she says that she hasn't spoken to her dad in 2 years, to further push that she didn't have a dad in her home and she was a troubled teenager, which I think that that's all over her account. In multiple instances, we can see that this was a very troubled teenager who was engaging in a lot of things she shouldn't have. But yeah, to only drive home her one point that her father was not in the home, that's the only tweet that she shows you. She does not show you anything else from this girl's Twitter account. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to go through that, or if you want to jump over to Graham Allen stuff. However you want to, totally up to you how you want to do that. But
yeah, no, I mean, I think, look, the other farce that's always getting pushed in this narrative that gets pushed because we disagree with certain people on things is, I'm really sick of this idea, this whole thing about Zionist this, and you're paid $7,000 or you're paid by TPUS, whatever it is, right? They come up with this trope to try to undermine you. And I want to know, I keep asking this. I'll just tell you right now, if the definition of Zionist is someone that believes that Israel has the right to exist, without even getting into the religious aspects of all of that stuff, I believe that Israel has the right to exist.
Yes.
If you're not that, then what are you proposing? I'd like to know exactly what that is. What I will tell you is that even if I believe on a religious standpoint that the support of Israel is important. That does not make me Israel first. And by the way, all you're trying to do is deflect, because we're not even talking about any of that stuff. If I just happen to say I can support Israel 100%, and I could say, you know what, I just don't believe that Israel had anything to do with it based on the facts, or I could be an avowed anti-Semite, and just based on the facts, if I say, hey, you know what, I don't believe that Israel was involved, and you and I aren't even making that like, all we were asking for is like, show us the evidence of what you're saying. But that immediately gets thrown. I was watching the comment section of your debate, and like every fifth comment was that, like, oh, this lady's paid by Israel. Oh, she's part of the $7,000 club. Oh, this, oh, that. Like,
I couldn't see the comments, and I think it's probably a good thing that I couldn't, because it would have
it is
just been
much better that
distracting
you could.
anyway. But yeah, I mean, every other day I've got someone saying that I'm getting paid. I'm not even monetized on, like, I think the only platform that I'm monetized on TikTok is TikTok, guys. And literally, you want to know what I made off of TikTok last year? $1,000. And that was from my live rewards. That's from obviously videos, because I mean, your RPM is so low. It's insane. Like,
Yeah.
I'm lucky to get like $2 off of a video, if that. And we're talking like, you know, I've had some videos that have gotten like thousands of views, but most of them don't qualify. So, I mean, so in all, for the entire year of 2025, I made $1,000 off of TikTok. That's it. I am not eligible for monetization on X. I don't meet the qualifications. I don't think people realize that the qualifications are actually kind of difficult. Like, I'm not a plant for Turning Point USA. I've never done any work with Turning Point in my entire life.
Well, that was one of the scummy things that Zach did do. He was like, oh, she lives in Arizona. That was him, right? He did say that, right?
Oh, that was Matthew.
Okay. All right.
That was Matthew, but yeah, he said, "Oh, he also lives in Arizona," and he
Gotcha.
did work for Turning Point. I've never done any work with Turning Point. Now, I've done work with pro-life organizations who have worked with Turning Point on college campuses. So I've done some activism work with Students for Life, which they on their own. I've never gone to anything where Turning Point was there with them at anything. I've done stuff with Students for Life. And live action. And obviously Lila Rose and Kristen Hawkins have personal connections to Charlie and Turning Point. Like, so I guess if you want to make like that weird route to it, you could, but like on its face, no, I have never done any work with Turning Point, not as far as like election work, campaign work, nothing, not at all. The only on the ground work that I have done at all was on the abortion topic, and it was with certain pro-life organizations. That's it.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, there's nothing beneficial from a monetary standpoint or a character or reputation standpoint that is beneficial being on this side of this argument, because all you do is get slammed all the time, and I don't care. Like, yeah. I am not going to.
I'm used to that from the abortion argument. So
and
I mean, there's nothing beneficial to yourself on being pro-life and being anti-abortion either. If you can think of it, it's been in my DMs. I have had people tell me to off myself. I've had people tell me that they hope that my children get assaulted. I mean, that they hope that I get assaulted. I mean, all of the things. So yeah, at this point, like, again, I would say that like being in the pro-life space has definitely prepared me for all of this like Candace insanity, because if somebody can say it to you, I've had it said to me. Trust and believe. I was outside of the Supreme Court the day after Roe v. Wade was overturned. If that gives you any idea. I was at the DNC last summer protesting outside of the DNC because they had the Planned Parenthood bus out there doing abortions on the sidewalk. Okay, so I have gone toe to toe with some blue-haired, white, liberal, crazy, feminazi women. Like, I can handle the Candace Colt. We'll just say that. I have been out in the trenches, guys. I've been spit on. I've had urine thrown on me. I've been pushed. I've been, again, everything that you can like imagine, like activism wise. Like I've been there. So, been there, done that.
Well, keep talking. I'm gonna push your volume up a little bit.
The Israel bad crew. Yeah, I'm so over hearing that Israel is to blame for everything. Again, is their government perfect? No. Is our government perfect? No. Do I necessarily like how interconnected our government is to their government? No. And the majority of people that I talk to in real life, this is their views as well, right? I don't know anybody that is like gung ho for Israel. It's just the simple question of like, okay, do they have the right to exist as a nation? Yes. Do they have the right to defend themselves from attacks such as what we saw on October 7th? Yes, they do. And so, like, yeah, I guess call me a Zionist. I mean, they want to try to turn that into some kind of a dirty word. It's most definitely not. There's one nation that is an Israeli nation. I mean, we've got all these Muslim countries. What is it, like 50 plus Muslim countries, and we have one country for the Jewish people? Like, yeah, they're allowed to have that, like, at the end of the day. And like, I think that it's insane that anybody would say otherwise.
Yeah, and look, I know a lot of people have an issue with the way that Israel was established. So what? All right, it's a done deal. It's done. All right, we weren't around in 1947, and guess what? Everybody has a problem with how every single country is ever established. It's just the way it works. It's a bunch of.
They don't like how America was established either.
Exactly. So we're not going to undo America and give it back to the Mexicans or whatever it is that you want us to do. It's not happening. So, like, get over it. Let's address what is going on now. We're not living in the past. We're not living in 1948. We didn't make those determinations. The U.S. didn't have 100% say in those determinations. So just stop. Just like, okay, like I'm so done with playing this game. There was always bad blood between the Arabs there that occupied what is now Israel, and Jewish people. Like, just stop.
Well, and like that's one of the things that I really tried to push on Zach today, which I mean, I was not prepared to talk about the whole Israel-Palestine debate, debacle, whatever. But yeah, I mean, he brought it up. So like, let's talk about it, I guess. But like one of my pushbacks to him from the religious perspective, just to like get into it a little bit, he says that, Israel is the church. I don't believe that this is supported in scripture at all. I do believe that there's still a covenant relationship with the Jewish people and the land of Israel. And there are parts of that in scripture that are yet to be fulfilled. And I gave him several examples of that today, and he really didn't have a response to me. And in fact, when I really started to get into it, he really wanted to move on to the next conversation. He wanted to move on to the next topic really quickly. He did not want to focus on that anymore. But at the end of the day, you cannot, and I brought this up to him, I said, there's something to be said about the fact that you are talking about a country that is the size of New Jersey. In what world would anybody care about this tiny little country? And I mean, again, it's been all over the news. Everybody's got an opinion about it. Everybody's arguing about it, debating it. It's all over, the news. We've got this anti-Semitism that is absolutely on the rise. I don't know how anybody could deny that. I mean, just in the last 2 years, it has like spiked through the roof, and it's not slowing down. It's only getting worse. I don't understand how somebody who is professing to be a Christian could not see that there's a spiritual element behind all of this. I believe that everything that we see in the physical, there is a spiritual element behind everything that we see in the physical. There is the natural, and then there is the spiritual side that we can't always see, right? And so, yeah, I mean, in what world, unless God is in control here, and he fully, again, if you've read the book, you know how it ends, right? Like, we know who gets the victory in the end, but all that to say, like, there's no way that you can read that and see all of this stuff that's happening now and be like, yeah, that's just coincidence. Like, yeah, Israel's just being brought up every other 5 seconds just because. Like, again, I believe that God is fully sovereign or he's not. He either fully has his hand on this situation or he doesn't. At the end of the day, I'm going to go with God. And I fully believe that there's a spiritual side to all of this. Absolutely. Otherwise, nobody would care. Nobody would be talking about this tiny little country unless there's something else going on here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Hey, look, and here's what people need to dig into this. If you're so worried about the Israeli influence on the United States. I think hopefully, we can all agree. Now, if you're anti-Semitic, one thing I will tell you is that the way that I determine someone is anti-Semitic is they believe that Israel and the Jews are the cause of any and everything. Everything always ties back to the Jews in Israel somehow. It doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what issue, what the origination of it, it ties back to Israel and the Jews somehow. Folks, I want you to look at the lobby groups. All right. You can check this stuff out. Israel is like the 10th spending as far as money spent. Look at China. China is spending more than double here in this country for lobbying. And that is something that we need to we really need to pay attention to.
Not to mention the amount of land that China is buying.
They're buying land. The other thing that Zach brought up today that I had never thought about or never looked up, he started talking about how they were geofencing around churches. Israel's doing this. So I started looking up geofencing to actually advertise and to push propaganda by China. Guess what? China is doing it significantly more. I'm less worried about Israel trying to get Americans to support Israel than I am worrying about China, getting Americans to support China, because China is the real threat. It is the real threat. It's much more, but everybody on this anti-Zionist nonsense bandwagon wants you to not pay attention to all these other things. Look at all these other countries that spend more money in lobbying than Israel. China, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Liberia, South Korea, Marshall Islands, Bahamas, Qatar. Like, I'm more worried about Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia than I am Israel. For sure. And look in these three countries, and these countries are actually much more ideologically aligned than Israel is. Israel's sitting here at $211 million, whereas we have a much larger with UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. So look at the combined influence. And all of this is Muslim influence. That's what this is about. And of course, they are trying to lobby us to get, everything for diplomatic relationships, tourism, and everything else is piled into that. But that is something that people need to pay attention to. But the anti-Semite crowd, they don't want you to pay attention to any of that stuff. Don't worry about that at all. And I think it's very telling what's going on. Well, let's do this. Let's jump over here to this bombshell interview of Graham Allen here, and let's see what's happening with this, because I am very interested to see what we got going on here.
Were the mom that Candace Owens has been talking about. So let's set the record straight, shall we?
I met one of Erika's, ex-boyfriends. Big deal.
Can you confirm to the world right now that you know for a fact that Charlie Kirk was buried? You and Candace Owens have spoken on the phone.
Yes.
How does that make you feel? As someone who's known Erika for 15 years.
Charlie knew exactly who he was marrying, and God knew that Erika would be the woman that she is right now.
There is no depth too low that Candace Owens will go.
I think that when something is taken out of context, plugged into a narrative, and then ran out, I can see where people get twisted on this, and it's very manipulative. When you deal with.
Hey, real quick, while we're here and while we're at this pause, I want to go ahead and hit up some of the super chats real quick, and then we'll move on. Cooking with the Wilsons. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Susan, I wish there was something all of us who do really care about Charlie and Erika to stop her. Well, I think, again, continuing to push the truth is the way that we stop her. Hopefully, this video will kind of I am so ready for God to bring this vile woman her just rewards. I just posted that a little while ago on X, and I hope this is it. I have no idea what to expect out of this. But
God, can we get a little lightning and a little thunder, please?
Is it asking too much to smite this woman?
Old Testament,
I don't wish that upon her at all, and I'm obviously joking. But I do want her to be revealed for the con artist, the charlatan that she is, because those of us that with eyes and ears and a God-given brain, we know what's going on. We know what this is all about. So, that's where we're at. Odorized ramblings. Charlie Kirk's example must live on. I'll be with his group talking to those that will listen in my country and county. The next cycle is extremely important. I hope many of us here will be doing the same. Love true crimes. $1.99 just because. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Iran looks like it's about to pop off. Can't wait to hear the cries of Iraq 2.0 crowd, which we can't call Iraq 2.0 because there's now supposed to have been 3 Iraq 2.0s. So I guess Iraq 5.0. Yeah, look, we can get into over the next couple of days. I'm going to be covering more stuff about Iran, my thoughts on our possible military involvement in there. There is no comparison between Iraq and Iran. And the reason there's no comparison is because we know that they have nuclear weapons. We know that. That's been verified by multiple other countries. We know that they have a very robust nuclear weapon program that they have been continuing to push. And we know that they would use that on Israel and they would use it on the United States. So unfortunately, what we have is a government that has destroyed its credibility on boondoggles like Iraq and Afghanistan. And now that we have a real threat, people want to call it an Iraq 2.0. Do I think that we should have boots in the ground in Iran? Absolutely not. Am I all about a extremely robust strike on Iran to completely destabilize their ability to conduct war outside of their country? Yeah, I am. And I think it'd be really smart because the last thing that we want is a nuclear bomb or a nuclear missile headed toward Israel or a nuclear missile or a nuclear bomb coming to the United States. And the threat is very real. There's no comparison between Iraq and Iran because of their capabilities are much more significant than Iraq ever was. Last one here before we play the video. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate you, buddy.
With a conspiracy psychosis, you realize that you feed the narrative and then you're able to reframe that into any way you want to.
Candace said to you, she didn't.
And Lisa, anytime that you want to stop and talk about what's being said, speak up, yell at me.
Believe that Erika ever loved Charlie. Why do you think Candace is doing what she's doing? After speaking to her, Candace has now gone on this thing in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. No one has felt the brunt of this more than Charlie's widow, Erika Kirk, and his children. I myself have been attacked along with so many others. So we finally started to decide to, how would Candace put it, ask questions about the very people that are just asking questions. Now, Candace Owens would have you believe that we're trying to silence her. We're trying to racially profile her. We're trying to cover up for something. But we believe in the truth. We believe in debunking the lies with actual facts, not hearsay, not a tip line. No, the actual people that Candace Owens is single-handedly ruining lives. This particular lie revolves around a family, a mother, a daughter, and a dear friend to Erika Kirk around a bad feeling. And Candace Owens turns this lie, this tip, this misconception of the truth into prior knowledge of an assassination attempt on Charlie Kirk's life. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I introduce to you Tracy Martin.
Hello,
Tracy,
Graham.
thanks for being here.
Of course.
Before we start, because a lot of people are going to see this and they're going to ask us, this is our first time meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
I haven't promised you any money. I haven't promised you any promotions in a company. We didn't pick our $7,000 checks up at the door.
I wouldn't take it anyway.
It would take a lot more than that. No,
Yes.
I'm joking. Okay. So you reached out to me
Yes.
via Instagram and I saw it. And at first, admittedly, I didn't know who you were. I didn't realize that you were the mom that Candace Owens has been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you is this. Before we begin, this is going to be picked apart. We will be attacked by Candace and her, I call them the Canaanites. We will be attacked by them for this.
Yes.
Why are you here? Why would you put yourself through this?
Well, first of all, I believe that this is a moment in time to where we have to speak out at this point. It's gone on long enough. I have been a dear friend to Erika's for 15 years, and everyone that knows Erika in this circle has been through Charlie. You met Charlie. That's how you met Erika. It's been this way. And then I realized that, having 15 years of lived experience with her, somebody needs to speak out on the character of who Erika is. And Charlie knew exactly who he was marrying. And God knew that Erika would be the woman that she is right now. And so I think when you realize that there is a truth to this, and being a believer, I believe that we do protect the people that are being attacked. And I think that it's time that, you know, when you have truth and you realize that you have the voice to use it because there's nothing to hide. And Candace came.
Folks, I can't say how much I actually believe that. When you see someone being attacked the way that TPUSA and Erika Kirk has been attacked, I think we do have, I feel, you know, and this is one of the things where people have said that's why Gary's clearly paid by TPUSA. No, I just see an injustice taking place. And if this same thing was happening to Candace Owens via TPUSA, the roles were reversed, I would be right there with Candace Owens or whoever it is. But I see a clear truth, and then I see a clear lie, and I see the people that are behind this lie attacking people behind what, at a minimum, there's zero evidence of their involvement, and just beating them over the head. You can call it bullying, you can always call it attack. I don't care what it is. It's an injustice taking place, and I'm not going to sit by. And I'm so grateful that there's people like Lisa and other people that feel it down in their soul to get out in front of a camera and risk a lot, by the way. Risk a lot to get out here and defend somebody else that they have really like nothing invested in, other than the fact that it's a moral stance that people need to take. And Tracy Martin is exactly right on that.
After my family as well, you know, and so you don't get to do that, and you don't get to have a platform and use it irresponsibly to destroy people, and you don't see the damage that you're doing because you're sitting in your studio and you're not on the receiving end of DMs, horrific accusations, and she went after my child.
Yeah.
So you just don't get to do that as a mother. I don't think anybody would stand by and watch that.
No, absolutely not. And I would argue that Candace doesn't care.
Oh, no, definitely not.
She doesn't care about who it hurts in real life. She doesn't care about real life consequences. Candace Owens will say, I didn't do anything wrong because I was simply presenting the facts or the tips as I got it in real time, which is her defense for cowardice. That is her defense across the board. I don't want to waste any time. People are here to find out the truth.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's where we are.
Yeah.
We're at a position where we have to combat lies with the truth. It's the only way. It is the only way. So Candace Owens went on this tear where she said, essentially, that you called your daughter, who works for Erika, the day before Charlie's, or very soon before, Charlie was murdered at UVU. That is what she said, and she has used that as a conspiracy that you had prior knowledge, potentially, of Charlie's assassination, that Erika definitely had prior knowledge of Charlie's potential assassination. Or she would say, I didn't exactly say that, but she insinuates.
Right.
And she has affected your family's life.
Yes.
So let's set the record straight, shall we?
Absolutely.
One, does your daughter in fact work for Erika, and how does she work for Erika?
So I will go back to how we got here.
Okay.
I think it would be, so people can track this. I think it's more important. So I posted a video 3 months after Charlie's assassination in defense of Erika's character. More than anything, I saw what was happening and I just was like, no. So I did the video, and then a few months after that, you know, it was another video just talking about the climate in the world. I mean, with what I do in this world, with working with individuals and families, I see behavior and I see patterns. I recognize patterns really quickly. And so I was watching what was happening with Candace Owens. And so then all of a sudden, I'm with my mom and dad in Missouri, by the way. She did get that right. I did live in Missouri. I was raised in Missouri. And so I was with my parents, and people were texting me going, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? I'm like, you guys, I'm with my mom and dad taking care of my older parents. And so I got on my phone and I was like, interesting. So all I see is photos of myself, photos of my husband, you know, and she did use great photos, which I'm thankful for that. But it was basically, you know, who am I? You know, all of the implied framing that she does, not asking neutral questions. It's always implication. Who is this person?
I want to give Dr. Altoid's comment some some views here. Between Graham's interview here, Tatum's recent comments, more pushback on X, and a dream that I had last night, Candace's grifts is coming to a close. Yeah, I agree. People are speaking up. Look, courage is courageous. And that's why I knew it was so important to get out here and risk whatever I had to risk to get this thing going. And so many other people were doing it as well. It's not just me. There's a couple of folks that I need to have on that were doing it from day one, come to find out. That, and again, at first I wasn't even aware of what was Candace was going on. But there's another comment that I saw over here that I want to address too. Of course, it moved on me. There we go. I don't know. This just kind of hit me a little bit here. Hartman says, this world is very different world than I grew up in. I can't tell who's who. I've had so many people disappoint me and leave me even after 40 years of friendship. Am I that naive? Didn't see it. Well, this is a really good argument that we all need to have a much better walk with God and have a relationship with God. And that's something that I'm continually trying to work for and try and find solace in. And then on top of that, you also need to take a minute and realize the only thing that really matters is what your friends and family, and I mean your really close friends. Like there's probably like 5 people that I consider a friend, and the rest, and at the end of the day, they don't even matter. What really matters is my family, my wife, my kids, and really that's just about it. One of the things that I used to value before this, that was actually a problem, was my reputation. And once I came on here and started pushing the truth, I'm not going to lie, some of the attacks on me were hit me, right? They affected me. And I realized that, again, what it did for me, it was a moment of growth. Because now I don't care what you think about me. I don't care what X thinks about me. I can have 100,000 people, a million views of a bad video of me trying to make me look bad or make me look dishonest or destroy my credibility, and I genuinely don't care anymore. And to me, that is very freeing, to say the least. What I've realized, the only thing that matters is that little woman up there and my kids, and they know me and they see me every single day. They know how I operate. They know what I do, and they see me down here doing what I need to do to make sure that we get the truth, in spite of attacks, in spite of people doing. If you guys knew the emails, like I don't even share 98% of what we've gone through with all this. So anyways, the point here is like, number one, start valuing Mr. Hartman K, if I'm getting that correct. Like, make sure you know who's important, and also make sure you have a relationship with God. Got anything to add to that, Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, I would also just say that the internet has cheapened so much. And I think that I feel like just so many people, like people just don't even know what integrity means anymore, or like what it means to actually have integrity and hold to your convictions consistently. I mean, when you see people like Candace Owens, who's willing to just blow with the wind wherever it's going to get her money and attention. Hillary Clinton's like that too. Like, she'll just say whatever she needs to say to whoever's in front of her. And so much of like what used to be able to be separated as like, oh, this is politics and this is like the world. It's just all bleeding together so much now. There's just like, it's so hard to separate one thing from the next. And I think a lot of that mindset that he was saying that he feels like, yeah, that's I think that's normal. Like a lot of us feel that way. Because, and especially, and I talked about it on Zach's podcast today too. I said, like we really have to make sure that we're very diligent about taking time to get outside of the bubble that is social media. And again, in the words of Erika Kirk, go touch grass, because at some point you do have to like get off of the computer, put the phone down, and like go engage in real life and be reminded again of like what the real world is, because so many get lost in all of the screens. And it's just cheapened life. It's cheapened the world around us. It's cheapened what is actually valuable in this life, unfortunately. And so you just have to make sure that you have a filter in which to view all of that through. And like what Gary said, I believe that having a relationship with Jesus is and having the Holy Spirit indwelling within you is what is going to be able to give you that filter and that lens. Without that, I'm so glad that I have that, because without that, I can't even imagine trying to filter all of this without the Holy Spirit. There's no way that I could do that.
Yeah. You know, all that matters is, you know what? Are you right with God? Are you doing what's right with God? And people are going to attack you when you do that, which I think that's actually a good sign that you're on the right path. When people are attacking you, you're on the right path. Just like Charlie Kirk said, the truth isn't always popular, but it's worth it. And that is 100% true. And you got to have a good foundation, or you will get washed away by a bunch of mean people that you don't know talking smack about you on the internet. Like, who cares? Who cares? A Storm Girl says, God bless you and your podcast, Standing with Righteousness Against the Wicked. Thank you very much. $30 from north of Cincinnati. Thank you. I asked Zach what he wants Erika to do. Stay home with her kids, get rid of all the Zionist donors, and give Charlie trouble. That gave Charlie trouble. She did not get the CEO on her own. She used Charlie to get it, so hire a CEO and go home.
I don't think they know what they want. I questioned him on this today too. I said, how long is she supposed to sit at home, Zach? Like, how much time is going to make you happy? 6 months, a year, 2 years? And one of the things that I didn't talk about with him, that's personal. I lost my brother to a fentanyl overdose 3 years ago, unexpectedly. He believed that he was buying something else. And unfortunately, because of the way that our southern border was just completely open and this stuff was just pouring through everywhere, the majority of people that are passing away from this, again, they're not even consenting to taking it. They don't even know that they're getting it. They believe that they're getting something completely different, and then they end up getting it. And unfortunately, it was the last decision that my brother ever made in this life at 29 years old. And so, him dying rocked me. And I can tell you that, like, we just hit 3 years on December 7th that he died. And I would say probably just this year, I am just now starting to figure out, like, okay, I think I feel like I'm ready to go to therapy and actually to start working through this and healing and start having those conversations. But like the last 2 years, the first year is like a blur. I would just start crying randomly, like for no reason, whatever. Like it's so like 3 years in, I am just now to the point where I'm like, okay, I think that I can finally start doing the work now to start processing this. It takes a long time to process having someone there one day and then literally just gone the next. There's times where I'll still pick up my phone and I'm like, I can't just call him. I have to remember that I can't just like call him anymore. Like, that's just not something that's an option. And so, like, that's all the stuff. And so all these people that are like, Erika Kirk is not grieving. And I'm like, are you guys blind? Because like, there's so many things that she is doing that I recognize that I did. And again, that wasn't my husband, it was my brother. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic, but just someone that close to you, like that immediate family connection. There's, unless you have experienced that, again, how long would be enough for you? Because again, at 3 years, I just now feel like I'm able to kind of start working through all of this. So,
well, and the thing is 99% of the time that since Charlie Kirk has been killed, people haven't seen Erika. One of the things that Zach that really ticked me off today is like Erika gets in front of a camera every time she gets a chance. She's not. You don't see Erika even like once a week. They're pulling from all the stuff where she was giving statements and doing different things when right after he died, because she thought that was the right thing to do. But even then, it was like once every few days. Here we have Candace Owens that is on the screen every single day. And when
I said that to him. I was like, Candace Owens is in front of a camera way more than Erika Kirk is. Are you kidding me?
And by the way, she's the one that is supposed to be the most aggrieved by all this. She's the only one that cares. So she's been on every single day. And when she's not on camera, she's tweeting her little butt off. So I don't even want to hear it. And again, we hardly ever see Erika when it comes down to it. It's not like she does a daily anything. Like I don't know that she's done a live event and I don't know how long. So yeah, she's doing a couple of things where she's going and speaking from time to time, but 90%, 90+% of the time, she is not on camera. So like, it's just
Well,
just
and
another
even when
element.
Charlie was alive, I think people need to remember when Charlie was alive, she did some turning point stuff. She would speak at the Young Women's Leadership Summit every year. Since they've been married, she has. She would speak at, I believe, like their student action summit that they do in Florida. So, I mean, she, like the big events that Turning Point did every year, like their big conference events, she always did like a speech at those events, right? AmFest, things like that. But when it comes to, you know, so she was already involved with Turning Point to an extent with making public appearances. And then, yes, since Charlie obviously has now been removed from the equation against her will, might I add, like she didn't,
Yeah.
I'm sure that if she could snap her fingers and have her husband back tomorrow and just be able to be a stay-at-home mom, she would absolutely choose to be able to do that immediately. Unfortunately, that's not the reality that we live in, right? And so, yeah, she already did a little bit of stuff, public appearances with Turning Point anyway, even when Charlie was here. And I would say that she stepped that up just a little bit because, I mean, for the obvious reasons, but she has not been in front of a camera nearly as much as she could. If she wanted to do even more, she could go way harder than she is right now, for
She could
sure.
do a podcast, a 4-hour podcast every single day if she wanted to, 7 days a week. She doesn't do that. She hasn't done that. She hasn't been a public figure nonstop. It's Andrew Colvett, it's Blake Neff that are out there doing podcasts and things every single day. They're speaking for Turning Point USA. Like, she's behind the scenes. And by the way, just like you said, she's always worked behind the scenes. She was doing things for Turning Point USA nonstop. Yes, she was either at home or she's bringing the kids to the office and things like that, but she's been actively involved behind the scenes of Turning Point. And to pretend that suddenly she was just staying at home, just doing nothing, just being a mom, and then Charlie died, and now she's, you know, big, you know, boss woman. And
not to mention the 2 businesses she has that she's been running for years. Some, like, even before she met Charlie, she had her businesses. Like, I'm so over them, like, acting like she was not successful. And it's just like this gold digger, like, it's all about the money. And I'm like, actually, I would say that everything that she's doing, like the fact that she has this money, she could never work another day in her life. Like, we all know that, right? She does not have to get up and do what she's doing and deal with the criticism. She could tuck herself away at home, never come into any spotlight ever again, and never make another cent. Like, at the end of the day, I think that shows that she does not need the money. It's not about the money at all. She doesn't have to work again if she doesn't want to. I think that it truly comes down to, again, his legacy, not letting this thing die that he put his life and soul into, right? Like,
well, and touching on that, something that Zach brought up, he's like, oh, well, you know, if your husband died, would you be doing what Erika Kirk is doing, trying to carry on whatever else? Let me tell you something, Zach. As someone
I said, you're not Charlie Kirk. Did you hear me say that?
Exactly. Like, most people work a 9 to 5. No, there's no legacy there to build on, quite frankly. And not to, you know, downplay the importance of people that are out there doing daily work, but it's different. Something that I can relate to. Me and my wife have built the business that we own from the ground up. And I can tell you for certain, number one, if I died, she would want to carry on this business because we have built this together. She's seen the everything that I've put into this business and what we do, and we've built something from the ground up. Most people have never gone through that, never gone through the struggles or understand what's going on. And my wife would be doing what Erika Kirk, she would be stepping up. Yeah, she would bring on some additional help that can handle the firearms training portion of it and the firearms building portion of it. But I would hope that she would carry on this legacy so that our kids have something to look at later on. So, you know, for people that don't know what that's like to sit there and say, oh, would you be doing this? Like, your husband's a mechanic at a, like, well, what are we doing? And again, nothing wrong with that, but you can't sit there and say and try to relate to somebody that you have nothing in common with. Anyways, let's play some more of this before we digress too much here.
Person, well, what does her husband do? All the things. So just a rapid fire. Number one, was raised in Missouri, was raised with horses, definitely not raised wealthy. And the funny thing is all my life is out in a book, which has been out 2 years ago. And Erika wrote the foreword, it's just so ironic that this is all being played out. And then
Gary,
my husband is not a border patrol agent. We never lived in Tucson. She says she has paperwork with.
I forgot to click a button. Boom.
Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry.
us purchasing a house from 2011. Never did that. And we didn't live in Arizona in the mid 80s. So there's all these things that are, again, in her mind, this is what she has. And then she will say, well, I didn't say he was a Border Patrol agent. I thought he could be because he's very military-esque. You know, yes, we work out. I didn't own gyms. I owned one gym. And none of these things even matter in the whole conversation. But what it is when you deal with a conspiracy psychosis, you realize that you feed the narrative and then you're able to reframe that into any way you want to. So when that all came out, I was like, okay, knowing Candace, she'll be after somebody else, you know, after a couple of days, we'll leave it go. Then she came back, and then she came back again, and she then brought my daughter in and saying that we had this prior knowledge that you're speaking of, which is absolutely crazy. And so to address that was basically my daughter. It had been talked about that my daughter was going to start possibly traveling with Charlie and Erika months earlier. During the summer, they travel as a family. We had conversations.
What did she do? What did your daughter do before that? So they start talking to her about this, but what was her job?
Her job is for Proclaim Streetwear, which is the clothing line.
Erika's
brand,
line.
yes,
Okay.
that I actually helped her create. And just, you know, that, and then Bible 365 Ministry.
So not Turning Point.
She's never worked for Turning Point.
Okay.
And so, and also Candace had said when I did speak with Candace, so I do want to say this. I reached out to Candace through a video.
Yeah, you had a conversation with her.
I reached out to Candace on a video, basically saying, here I am. Okay. If you have these questions and you want to know what's going on and you really want the truth by someone who actually has the truth, I'm right here. I have nothing to hide. And she did send me a DM. And so I did reach back out. We had an hour conversation last week on Sunday.
So hold on. I'm sorry. I have to stop you. So what you're saying is Candace Owens defames you, lies about you and your family, and she reaches out to you, and you had a conversation with Candace Owens on the phone. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So you and Candace Owens have spoken on the phone.
Yes.
I'm curious. I'm just guessing here. Was this in regards to this hit piece documentary that she's trying to put together for Erika Kirk? Was that your understanding of this?
So I think after being on the phone with her for an hour, I think that because there was a moment where she said, we are at an impasse. Which, again, just from what I do, an impasse means that we no longer agree. So, and then we're going to go our separate ways. And an impasse to me, whenever you decide to call me, my intention for the phone call was to set the record straight.
Right.
About the lies, about the defamation, about all the things that you were saying about my family, and especially my daughter, because you put people in harm's way with no regard. And so, but as the conversation kept going, I realized it was just basically to tell me that I didn't know Erika, that Erika was lying at every single point in time, and that she never loved Charlie, the relationship, all the things that we believe are opinions, right?
Right.
And so when that happened, when she said we're at an impasse, I said, yeah, we are. Because you have.
This is something that you can look at Candace Owens, listen to her for a few minutes, and realize every single time. She has no idea how close this woman is, the relationship that she has on a daily basis with Erika. And here Candace from the outside that has much less experience dealing with this lady's best friend. Candace Owens is so narcissistic that she is going to tell this woman what is really going on with a person that has that she has much less experience dealing with or even knowing than this person. Like, it's like Candace calling me and telling me, look, Garrett, you don't really know your wife. I've watched her from the outside a little bit here and there. I saw her on a couple of videos, whatever else. Let me tell you what's going on with your wife. And when you disagree with her, like, nope, we're at an impasse. You just need to listen to me because this is what's really happening. Like, that is how self-absorbed this woman is. And it,
Leave it to Candace Owens to have all of the audacity, right?
I mean, every bit of it, all of it. There's no audacity left for anybody else on this planet.
Have perceived information and created content. I have a 15-year lived experience with this person, and I know who this person is. And so that's when I realized that I truly believe that, and again, this is in Candace's own words, this is my opinion, I believe that it was just a call to come between Erika and I to try to, and I had no idea that this expose was coming up when I took the call for her. It was just, like I said, to right the wrong. I am a confrontational person when I need to defend and I need to stand up for truth, whether it's myself or someone that I care about. And I don't believe that I believe, like I said, it's very irresponsible.
So in the call, you said something very interesting to me. You said Candace said to you, she didn't believe that Erika ever loved Charlie.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel when you hear something like that from Candace Owens? As someone who's known Erika for 15 years, so you've known Erika from the moment she met Charlie all the way through their marriage, their children.
I remember the first day I met Charlie. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That to me is it's the first time I'm hearing that Candace Owens truly believes, based off your conversation with her, that Erika never loved Charlie, and it's based off what?
It's based off a delusion, first of all, because again, this is the lens that you see things through. But I was at Erika and Charlie's wedding. I mean, and unfortunately, I was at his funeral. I mean, the private funeral. And so I think that when you have someone that's outside that is trying to outright destroy someone, they will take any tactic that they can if they believe that it serves their actual narrative and purpose. Wow. And that's what I see happening. And these tactics are such psychological, warfare out in today's world. And that's honestly too, Graham, one of my biggest reasonings why I wanted to talk about this was it's overarching. It's not just Erika and Charlie. It's Erika and Charlie today. Yeah. It was you. It was all kinds of people. And
I'm a pedophile, according to Candace Owens.
I mean, do you understand the boldness that this takes to lie about someone to that type of a degree? I mean, that's where I know it's definitely the enemy at work. It's definitely spiritual battles. And the thing is when Charlie was assassinated, I still can't wrap my head around it, but when he was assassinated, this world experienced a revival. We had people I had clients, young clients asking me for Bibles, asking me, hey, T, can you teach me this scripture? And I am by no means a theologian, but I am on fire for Christ because I know that the world needs him. And that's the other thing too, is this was hijacked. And then now you've got this collateral damage of Erika and people that care about Erika. And the reason why and again, I think I did insert myself in this because I did step out and defend Erika and her character.
But we should.
Yes.
We are supposed to, as Christians, specifically the widows and the orphans. The Bible is very clear on this, as you should. And so I respect you for that, because very few people right now are doing anything to combat Candace Owens because they are afraid, not of her influence over people, because that's what it is. It is cult-like influence.
Let me correct you though, Graham. It is a perceived influence and a perceived place of authority on a platform.
Right.
That's truly what that is. She's a podcaster at the end of the day.
Exactly right. Her sources inside the government are bottom GS8, GS9 level employees that don't know anything at that. But to the point that they're afraid of her vindictiveness of how there is no depth too low that Candace Owens will go. We could talk for 3 hours, but let's shift back to the point. So your daughter never worked for Turning Point USA. No. She worked for Erika, for Proclaim, and Bible 365.
Right.
Okay. At some point, and I want you to be very clear with us. At some point, Erika and Charlie start talking to her about perhaps coming along these college campus tours that Charlie does, and then you had an opinion on that.
Right.
What was that opinion, and then when did that conversation actually happen?
So again, she does Bible 365 and Proclaim. She does work down sometimes at the headquarters, so she's in the building. She doesn't do anything for the Charlie Kirk show, which is what Candace said, that she had proof of that. And none of that's true.
Her being in the building is proof that she works on the Charlie Kirk.
So no, she does not work. And do they ask her to do something? I don't know. I'm not there every day, but I do know what she did. So the conversation came, we're in a very intimate place because we've been in their home, we're with their kids. I mean, and all the information about, Erika not giving, just crazy stuff, not being pregnant. It's so crazy. So we have the intimate knowledge, right? And so we're there, we see it. And so there was conversation about my daughter starting to travel with those guys. Never said anything about a campus tour, or this was absolutely what this was. It was a conversation of traveling. This happened during the summer, which is when Charlie and Erika travel as a family. So I didn't have any conversation back and forth with Erika. And so the day that the assassination happened, I was in my coaching studio with my clients back to back. And as you can imagine, people knowing my relationship with Erika, my phone going off, conversations, phone calls, text messages, just boom, boom, boom. I had clients that some knew Charlie, some were distraught. I mean, it was just a very emotional day, to be completely honest with you. I had an appointment that I canceled with my hair person. And then I had a friend of mine that was going to come in and take a book. I don't know if this is this person or not, because again, Candace has not produced anything for me at all, even though I asked her for it. And so the text message or the conversation was that I had prior knowledge. And so spinning that, which was basically my emotions of, oh my gosh, what if my daughter would have been there? I didn't know where Erika, go ahead.
So no, I don't want to stop you. So, okay. Yeah. And just because I know how her audience works. So just to back this up before we go back to that, in the summer, there were conversations of your daughter potentially like adding to her role and or doing more traveling. And you didn't even know if it was the campus events in general. And you expressed some reservations potentially to your daughter in the summer.
Exactly.
So not days, not weeks before, months before
reviewing like her job, what she was doing, you know, are you happy? You know, can you be an asset? Are you valuable? Those types of things. Just how I am as a mom.
Okay.
And then that was the conversation. And so it was a what if moment of, and like I said, doing what I do, my what if was not just safety for Erika and all of them. I mean, you know, the volatile world that we live in.
Oh yeah.
It's not.
I've been to those campus tours with Charlie.
And I've heard firsthand the threats. I mean, we've talked about those, the threats, the kidnapping threats, all the things that they were living with on a daily basis. And so, my mind as a mom went, I don't want you to go. I don't want that to be part of your role, is basically what it was. So that day of the emotion, my mind went to, what if my daughter would have been there? The day when Charlie was murdered. So we've jumped months ahead of time. Correct.
You're at work, you find out about Charlie being murdered. Correct. And then someone is there that you just are out.
You see how Candace just spins this stuff? I mean, just crazy. When you hear what Candace presents and then you see the actual truth, Artie, Trolls, and Edie and myself, we went through at least, it was more than 10, but 10 of her lies just the other night. And what she presents and what reality is, like, there couldn't be more divergence between those two every single time. I want to hit this super chat here while I got it paused. Penelope Husker, which I've been seeing you a lot on the channel lately. Penelope, we appreciate your support and watching. I love how total strangers decide how Erika should live her life post Charlie. And if it doesn't meet their approval, she's bad. Mind your own damn life. Couldn't agree more. I mean, there's lots to dig into there. People are bored.
Outwardly saying, can you imagine if your daughter had been there?
Just as a mother thinking not only the safety, but what would that have done to her to witness that? You know, the impact of that, the imprints that happens on someone's psyche. It was all of the things that my mind just went to that moment of what if. And so, and then even like with Erika, I didn't know where Erika was at the time.
Right.
And then I know Erika was with her mother.
Yeah.
And I was not, that was another thing that Candace said on her call. I was not with Erika that day.
Yeah.
I was not with her. And so, you know, it's as a mother, you right away go to worst case scenarios. No different than if you have a bad feeling about something and your daughter starts to beginning, well, I don't know if this is a good job for you. I don't know if this is, what does this job entail? What are these types of things? And so it became that type of a mental track that I'm like, oh my gosh, what if she would have been there? What she would have seen? What would have happened? And then my mind went through, she's safe, she's good. And so this person is basically a friend that I was like, venting to. And so I think that when something is taken out of context, plugged into a narrative and then ran out, I can see where people get twisted on this. And it's very manipulative, but there's no context.
Yeah.
You know, and whoever this person is, if this text exists, you know, you could have easily said, can you clarify this?
Yeah.
You know, this was a crazy emotional day for everyone, and especially since my family's very involved.
No, I agree. So just to be clear, to set the record straight on this one, we got a couple things we got to set straight. Your daughter works for Erika's Proclaim clothing line
Yes.
and Bible 365.
Yes.
She's never worked for Turning Point USA.
No.
And this conversation that you had with your daughter on you don't know how you feel about her traveling with Charlie and Erika more happened months in advance,
Yes.
not the day before or days before Charlie was murdered.
No. No.
That's a
No.
that's a mighty big difference
Yeah.
than the narrative that Candace Owens
Yeah.
has been pushing. And
I actually said to Candace on the call, I said, mother to mother, you know, you're a volatile workplace. You know, this is not my world.
yeah.
You know, I'm not in this world, you know, and that's why, again, the conversation, the concern is being twisted and manipulated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. And what I specifically want to point out is this: Candace Owens at some point, and for the audience here, Candace Owens got a tip from someone about something, and she took that, and instead of doing any actual conversations of talking to you beforehand, she just went with it.
Right.
Because the power of the breadcrumbs, the power of the what if right now, the psychosis of the conspiracy is taking over. Let's talk about another one. Candace Owens has been on a tangent that Erika's alibi is falling apart. I want to be very clear. There is no alibi. Erika Kirk is not a suspect in any shape, form, or fashion in any way. This is simple truth versus not truth, events versus things that never happened. I want to be very clear about this. Candace Owens is saying that Erika was not with her mother, who, as I understand it, is very sick.
Very.
Very sick. And admittedly, you're right. My relationship was always more with Charlie. Respectfully so. Why would I talk to the wife of my friend? I always talk to Charlie.
Right.
So I wasn't as aware how unwell Erika's mother is.
Yes.
Candace Owens has been saying that Erika was not with her mother on the day that Charlie was assassinated. Is that true? Is that not true?
Complete lie on Candace's part. It is there's verifiable information that she was with her mother at treatment.
Okay, now when you say there's verifiable information, what do you mean by that? Well, what do you mean when you say there's verifiable information?
Verifiable information from sources, from the clinic, from places like that can verify that she absolutely was with her mother. There's photos, there's timestamps. I have a text message. It's undeniable. And I think the thing with Candace is that to say those things, she said on my call that it's verified that Erika was there on the 8th. I'm like, no, she was actually there the morning, the day of. And that was a conversation with her and Charlie that home needs you, your mom needs you,
right.
You need to take care of your mother. And that's what Erika has done, because to your point, I don't think people realize the depth of Lori's illness. And that was something that Candace kind of pushed back on when we called. She said, well, I know she was diagnosed with this, and I know they had treatment. Even Candace's place of where Lori had treatment was incorrect.
Right.
So there's all these things that, yes, she was with her mother. I was not with Erika that day. She was with her mother. It's verifiable from the clinic, from backing up text messages from other people. We know that's where she was.
So
very confident in that.
So you know that there is confirmation from the clinic that Erika was with her mother on the day that Charlie was assassinated.
Absolutely.
This is absolutely, like, that right there tears apart everything that Candace Owens is trying to lie. And I think as we continue, I'm kind of taken back by it a little bit. And I would say this, like, I'm sure that people are going to watch and you're going to say, well, where's the evidence? Show us the evidence. Well, I would say this: call us on it, Candace. We dare you. Call us on it. Let's see what you do. Moving back to the conversation.
Yes.
I want to drive this home as we continue to debunk these lies. if Candace will bold-faced lie about these things, then, and this goes out to the people that watch her.
Mhm.
How can they trust her to be truthful about anything?
Well, and I think
Well, and here's one of the biggest problems too, is not only does Candace outright lie, but she also talks about things that she knows nothing of with extreme confidence. And this is something I pointed out just the other day, talking about the bomb sniffing dogs and how
Yep.
she goes on a 10-minute dialogue trying to convince you that there's no way to trick a bomb sniffing dog, and that a bomb sniffing dog, even through weeks in the rain, will find a firearm. All right. And then I pulled up a canine specialist that tells you the exact opposite. So there's so many things that she just makes up in her, like she comes to a determination with a little bit of information actually has and any background, no level of subject matter expertise at all. But in her own mind, I mean, she is Dunning-Kruger incarnate. That is who she is. So she determines this is truth, and anything that's outside of that is an absolute lie. So it's really hard to figure out what she is outright lying about, or the things that she knows to be that aren't so. And that's the problem with Candace, is you can't trust her, because she's either going to lie to you or she's going to convince you that she knows something that she doesn't know. And it's, which one of those lie? They kind of both are. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Lisa?
Yeah, and I mean, it just becomes more and more apparent that like Zach today, he tried to play it off. Well, she just doesn't know. She just doesn't know about these things, or she just isn't aware. And I'm like, I'm so tired of these excuses that we're making, that she just doesn't know what she's doing. It becomes more and more blatantly obvious that she has nefarious purpose. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows that she is just bold face, flat out lying to people. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, I mean, he was willing to accept that, like, maybe she talked to Jillian, and I'm just sitting there going, no, I don't think she ever spoke to her a single day in her life. I think that she is just flat out just literally making things up at this point. And this is why we don't see receipts. This is why we don't see the proof. How hard would it be? I mean, I mentioned it today. How hard would it be to show proof and verify that you talked to Jillian? This girl's name, her identity, her photos, it's already all over the internet. I mean, you're not gonna disclose anything that nobody hasn't already seen. So at this point, there's no reason why you should not be able to show a message, an email, your phone conversation, like recordings from the phone conversation. Now, granted, we don't know her voice, so I guess anybody could be talking on the phone, but like, give us something, bro. Like, she has more than enough resources and more than enough connections that if she wanted to do her show right and be on the up and up, she definitely could. She is making an active, conscious choice to put this forward the way that she has, and to be conniving, to be sneaky, to withhold information, to blatantly lie. There is more than enough to show here that this is all malicious. This is pre-planned, premeditated. In a court of law, when it comes to a defamation suit, we'll just say she's going to be in trouble, because it's going to be very hard to say, oh, I just didn't know. I just didn't, like, no, that bridge is already gone. Like, yeah, at this point, I don't see how anybody can't see through all of, like, just, it's so obvious. It's just frustrating. And
well, and that's not even including the stuff that she intentionally omits. I mean, because that's another big issue of this. Like, whether you talk about all of the evidence against Tyler Robinson that she has never disclosed to her audience. And 98% of her audience have never taken a minute and read through the 8-page of charging documents to show that it'll actually show you all of the evidence that they have. And that's just at the time that they arrested him. That was just giving them enough to arrest him.
Correct.
Those charges are probably continuing to pile up. God only knows, but there's definitely more evidence that is continuing to pile up, because that investigation is still ongoing. Or the fact that she's continued to say that, he scaled the walls like the roof like Spider-Man, when she's never shown anybody how easy it is to get on that roof. Like, it's just all of these omissions. And every time that she comes in the fork in the road to where she can either tell the exact truth, even though it might downgrade or have a negative impact on her narrative, she chooses not to. She never does that. Never
She'll
does.
choose her narrative and her wallet over anything every
It-
day. And this is why I mentioned today on the podcast, I said there's a reason why she has not brought any experts onto her show. She has not
Yeah.
brought anybody with any real letters behind their name, anybody that is an expert in, and these could be people, again, that completely agree with her side of the narrative. You can pretty much find an expert these days to go either way on things, right? At the end of the day, she will not bring anybody that has any verifiable anything behind their name, any credibility at all, because she knows that it would obliterate her entire, it would all crumble immediately. So I mean, that would challenge, she does not want to be challenged. She's made it very clear that she does not want to be challenged, and she's not allowing access for her to be challenged. She will put up roadblocks to make sure that she is not challenged, and that is intentional.
I agree.
I think if you look at the timeline of all this stuff from when, like I said earlier, when there was a revival and she kind of hijacked that movement with trying in her mind of, I'm just seeking truth and asking questions. I gave her truth that she did not want. Even there's a video out there about her. She said that Erika and Charlie had an argument the night before. And I said, that's not true. And she said, yes, it is, because they woke up their daughter. And I said, well, have you been to their home?
How would she, was she in the bedroom?
Well, that's my point.
How would she know?
And I told her that. I said, have you been to their home? Do you understand this? Do you understand how small the home is? And I said, because I have. I've been there multiple times. And she said, well, I just know that that's not true. And I'm like, well, it is true that Erika wanted Charlie to get a good night's sleep. And if he walks past his daughter's room, he absolutely would be in the kitchen and could easily wake her up. But the thing that's so crazy about this, Graham, is that these are lifestyles that don't matter. You know, I mean, but it's another explosive thing that she thinks she has to incite emotional chaos with people that their brain automatically goes to trying to fill in the blanks. This is human behavior 101. And so, you know, they didn't have an argument. And Erika, I mean, I could have woken up their daughter if I was in the kitchen. You know, I mean, these are the things I think that people don't, they just go, oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. And human behavior, like I said, our brain will fill in those blanks when you are in this conspiratorial psychosis. Yeah. You absolutely will.
Candace is framing it the way that I've seen her frame exactly what you're talking about. She frames it as though Charlie woke up their daughter, and somewhere in between, Erika was like, well, just go sleep in the daughter's room. What seems to have really happened is the daughter came into the bedroom, their bed, which is something that happens to 99.8% of parents.
And look, I just want to stop this right here, and let's go back to why this conversation is taking place. This whole conversation is taking place, at least this portion of it, is because some viewer somewhere saw that the wedding picture had been moved in the background. And from that, this entire speculative narrative blew up. They were actually having a fight and they were getting divorced. And, you know, Erika's off plotting with the Jews to kill Charlie. Like, that's where all of this comes from. It's insanity. If you think this makes any sense, you need to go talk to a psychologist and you need to get help, because it doesn't make sense.
Again, she's allowing the audience to lead the narrative and the story here, which is not how journalism works. That is not the mark of a good journalist. You do not allow the audience to like put you on these wild goose chases. That's absolutely absurd.
The way this works is you give the audience the truth, and if the audience can't handle it, they go find somebody else. They shop until they find someone that is an absolute hack, and they just tell them whatever they want to hear. That's what happened to CNN. That's what happened to MSNBC, and that's why they're no longer relevant. But yet, that's what everybody wants from Candace, and she can get all the views she wants, because all it does is identify for me that you're a moron and I don't need to talk to you. It's a waste of my time.
And everybody who has kids knows that if you've got something important to do that day, you're not sleeping, because kids are like bowling pins
all over
in the bed. So that's when Erika said, you go sleep in her room.
Correct.
And because I believe he had an early flight that next day.
Yep.
That is a completely different, that key little bit of context. Again, Candace Owens is leaving that out, leaving it out.
But I think leaving it out is what seeds the doubt and the implication for other people to fill in the blanks. So that is her job, you know. Even on the video, she says these kids are sleep trained. A toddler should be in REM sleep
Because she has a night nanny. That's why I'm saying that.
I'm sorry. I've raised kids and I'm a grandmother of 2 grandsons, so I can tell you right now.
Yes.
Good luck with a toddler.
I haven't
REM
slept
sleep.
in 15 year.
You're not going to, trust me.
Yeah,
It doesn't get any better.
I haven't slept in 15 years.
Yeah.
And so when I heard her say that,
Mhm.
it immediately went rich, elitist, night nanny mindset.
Mhm.
You know, I wouldn't doubt that after outside of breastfeeding, and this is my opinion, Candace Owens probably has a night nanny. She probably didn't
We
wake
don't
up
know,
with
but
her
who
children.
knows?
I don't know, but
Yes.
if she can conclude that because the daughter woke up, they had a fight, well, I can conclude
Yeah.
if you don't know that 3-year-olds wake up at 2:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
you obviously are not getting up with your
With
children.
Your kids. Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's life.
yeah, let's digress back into some more of these things here. And I want to ask you, because to your point, you have 15 years of knowing Erika.
Mhm.
There's another thing that Candace has been pushing, where she has been pushing that the day Charlie was murdered, Erika not only didn't have her family go with her, but she also waited for over an hour on Andrew Colvett before she went to the hospital. Now, one, I would say this, even if that did happen, which it didn't, but even if it did, I don't know why it's this big conspiracy on,
Yeah.
maybe she didn't want to face it alone. Like, I don't know what could have happened. But we know for a fact that Andrew Colvett met her at the hospital.
Okay.
But talk to me about the family part.
Right.
What is the situation with Erika's family? And maybe you can tell it, and maybe that will give better context
Right.
to why she went with Turning Point people down to
Right.
Utah versus her family. Obviously, her mother, who is in Arizona, is very sick.
She can't
So
travel.
that one
No.
makes sense, right?
No, she can't
Does
travel.
does Erika have any other family, and where are they located?
So her sister's in Ohio.
Okay.
And I think Candace knows all this. She's very close with her cousin, who I've not met. I don't know who that is. I don't know Erika's cousin. Her dad and his wife are way on the west side of Phoenix, and also are not in the best physical ability to travel. And I think the thing with because Candace brought this up on the call with me, she said, well, why didn't this, why didn't that? She brought Turning Point people with her. And again, my mind goes to, this was Charlie that was assassinated. So the Turning Point people, they say themselves, we're like a family.
Right.
So obviously they want to go, right? And I don't have information about that part of it that you guys do about Andrew and all that, but I do know that Erika literally stepped out of the clinic and dropped to her knees and was like literally like, what is going on?
Right.
And went straight to the airport.
Right.
And straight to, and then Father Klein, which is a very dear friend of their families, he met her there just to pray for her. And then God bless this man, he went with her.
Yeah, get on the plane.
Exactly. There was no questions. There was a need, there was a crisis. And I think that the biggest thing is when you're in a crisis, you go with whoever's there.
Yeah.
You don't have time to do these kinds of things. And also getting the information of, was Charlie still alive?
Right.
I need to get there as quickly as I can. And so that part of it with the family, I just don't think there was anyone right there that could have gone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, the reason I bring up the Andrew Colvett waiting for an hour on the tarmac, the reason I bring that up is because Candace frames it as, well, that's really weird, right?
Weird, yeah. Her favorite
That's
word.
weird that she wouldn't go directly to the hospital. She would wait over an hour for Andrew Colvett, which did not happen. But then she also finds it weird that Erika's family that lives across the country
Right.
wasn't
Ready
on
to
the
go.
plane with there.
Right.
What was she supposed to do? Was she supposed to wait for a
For
day
them,
for
yeah.
them to fly in to Arizona and then they all
Right.
fly together to Utah? The
Right.
contradiction there
Correct.
is it's staggering.
Right.
And I think Candace is getting to a point where she has lied so much.
Correct.
She has misinterpreted intention.
Serena, just so you're clear and everybody else, this interview dropped at about 10 after 8 is when it went live on YouTube.
so many things that she can't keep straight with her own hypocrisy.
Well, and she takes the human aspect out of all the stories as well, because I mean, if you're in a crisis in that moment, the people that show up for you that are right there within reach, you're going to go in that moment for support. And I think that that's something that is not criminal. You know, I mean, Candace kept saying it's weird, it's weird, it's weird. And I'm like, weird doesn't equal criminal, number one. And weird just means different. And so maybe you would have a different way of handling a crisis. We don't know. We weren't there.
Yeah.
I don't believe in judging someone else, how they handle something, because I don't know what you would do in that moment. I can't imagine hearing that conversation. And so I think there's also a level of complete disregard for the human part of this conversation.
Yeah.
And these are real people with real lives.
Correct.
And there's real repercussions for people.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, my heart is in this whole conversation, is the fact that you don't get to do damage to people and can continue this. There's a reprobate mind in here from a biblical standpoint.
Yep.
There is the whole depraved mind, which from my experience in prayer is the fact that God will give you over to that until it's time to not do that anymore.
Right.
And I truly believe that that's why these conversations are people becoming more outspoken about this is wrong, this is crazy. It reminds me of, and I said this before, of the whole COVID mindset, to where those of us that spoke out from day one were crazy. You don't know anything, you're this. And then all the people started to take the narrative and build the narrative, which is a pattern. Like I said, there's pattern recognition in here in these kinds of human behavior. And so then there comes a point in time to where at a tipping point to where people are realizing, yeah, this is getting a little crazy.
Yeah.
We're trying to connect dots that go nowhere.
Yeah.
We're trying to do these things. And then people are mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted. You've done so much damage to people until people have said, we've had enough.
Right.
And then you get the more people like yourself. And you've been speaking out for a while. And that's why I reached out to you, was the fact that this has to stop. And there comes a point in time to where you need to step in.
Yeah. Well, I think the argument can be made. Candace has made a career out of saying, well, that's just weird.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense. You know, normal people wouldn't behave this way.
Yeah.
Well, I would argue that 6 months worth of daily content, doing what she's doing, is not a normal. Charlie's bestest friend in the entire world would ever behave in such a way. And, you know, I wasn't Charlie's closest friend, but I owe everything I have to Charlie. And I truly believe that what Candace is doing, if it had been anybody else that had been murdered, and Candace was doing this to their wife or their widow and their children, Charlie would be the first one to be on the front lines.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he was the only other person with a megaphone big enough to take her on.
Right. Well, there's a point in time to where you honor and you have integrity, and it has to overcome the world's conversation. Yeah. Our culture is so inverted right now. Moral inversion is rampant. And that's what I believe this is. It's like, you know, when you say something about someone, you need to look in the mirror. Yeah. You know, the accusations, the lies, all the things, you know, and then Candace also mentioned, you know, there's no way that Erika could have done all these businesses that she's done in these LLCs and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, do you know the mind of an entrepreneur?
I have multiple LLCs.
I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I have many, you know, and then she did ask me how I met Erika.
It's amazing to me, the things that she says.
Yes.
All right, we're going to hit a couple super chats and then I'm going to talk a little bit too. Candace Owen is a manipulative bitch that unfortunately people are listening to. No brains for her listeners. I agree. CJ Carenti, always there. I was just talking to him on the phone today. He was helping me out with some other things, man. CJ, you get the, if I had I'm going to get you a trophy. Paramount's biggest fan. You're going to get it. We appreciate you, bud. And we appreciate everybody else. I wanted to address this comment though. I don't get why any sane person gives a crap what Owens crackhead says. She obviously is not sane individual. Let the loons believe her demonic lies. God will deal with them all in his time. And I started thinking about that, and I understand that sentiment to some extent. But I also want to remind everyone out there, in Matthew 25, Jesus gives a parable, and he says, Lord, when did you see the hungry and feed you, or thirsty, give you something to drink? When did you see the stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did you see the sick in prison go to visit you? So I truly tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did to me. So what that really is we can sit back and say as Christians that we're not supposed to do anything, that God's in control of everything, and that, the poor are going to take care of themselves, and people are going to stand up for themselves, and God's just going to take care of it all. We just sit back. What that is, that's an excuse to do nothing and be lazy. And that's not what Jesus Christ is trying to tell you right there. Is and just before that parable, he gives the parable where he entrusts his servants with money, and he wants them to go out and invest, and some do well, some hide it, put it away. The point here in that entire chapter, Matthew 35, is that Matthew 25. Matthew 25 is that God gives you the ability to work for him. And when you see something that is not right, it is your job to allow God to work through you to make things happen. So when you see something that, like, hey, you know what? This isn't right. You know what? I'm just going to let God take care of it. That's not biblical at all. Like, you're supposed to get in there and freaking make something happen. If you see somebody being abused on the side of the street that is getting beat up, or whatever else is going on, maybe it's a woman getting beat up by a man, you can be like, oh, I'll just let the police take care of it. Or you can be one of those people that pull out a phone and just film it and put it on YouTube or whatever else. Or you're going to be that person that jumps in, because I know what person I'm going to be. And I don't care if they're 10 times bigger than me. I'm not going to allow that injustice to take place. And we just need more people like that, because what we have, and look, I'll be honest with you, there was a long time that I was really, I guess, put off by Christianity, because I was kind of told that Christianity was like this weak, timid, tepid thing. And you just it's like hippie Jesus. All right. I don't believe in that anymore. That was one of the biggest changes in my brain when it came to religion and Christianity, going back 6 or 7 years. And I'll tell you, like, that's not what I like. You got to be forceful. And when you look at the Bible, like, the people that the best about, the people that you admire the most about people were doers, whether it was David, whether it was Peter. Like, these are strong men willing to die for what they believe in, and not just sit back and wait for God to come down and take care of things. These are people going out, spreading the message, even though they were risking death and persecution. But yet we will sit here on a computer. You're basically anonymous. You have most of the anonymity that most of the people are using to their advantage, but we won't even get on there and say anything because we're afraid that somebody's going to say something bad about us. Like, no, you're a big shithead. Like, I don't understand it. Like, we got to get out of this mentality that God's just supposed to take care of everything. We're supposed to sit back and do nothing. That's not how that works. Lisa, you got anything to add to that?
Absolutely. So this is something that I talk about on my lives on TikTok a lot. The lie that got sent into our culture, unfortunately, and a lot of Christians have bought into this narrative. It's a total lie from Satan himself, is Christians shouldn't judge. If I have to hear that one more time, I think I'm going to rip my hair out, because if you've ever read scripture, you know that is absolutely not true. So Jesus actually tells us how to judge. He gives us guidance on how to judge correctly. He does not say do not judge. He says to judge righteously. So to judge righteously with fairness, AKA treat someone how you would want to be treated, right? Like, don't hold them to a standard that you're not going to hold yourself to. And he says not to judge with hypocrisy, right? So if you're actively dealing with something in your life, you can't be, it's the whole plank in their eye, speck in yours thing, right? And so, yeah, he gives us guidance on how to judge correctly. Literally, scripture tells us that we are to be salt and the light of the earth. Every believer has the Holy Spirit indwelling within them. This is what it says in Ephesians, that the moment that you are saved, the Holy Spirit is indwelling within you, and you are sealed with the Holy Spirit until the day of redemption, is what it tells us. The Holy Spirit, is his primary job is so that you can understand sin, so that you can navigate this world, right? That whole discernment word that everyone's been throwing around that they think is just vibes. Yeah, discernment does not mean vibes, guys. It comes from the Greek word discernia. It literally means to filter. Think about that thing, the strainer that you put your pasta through so that the water can come out. That is literally what discernment is. This is a filter so that you as a Christian know how to navigate this life. Who should I associate with? Who should I not? Is this person safe? Is that person not? Is this a good situation to get into? Is it not? But you are called to judge people's actions. You are called to judge their behavior. What you are not to do is you are not to judge their eternity. That is for God. Who's going to heaven? Who's going to hell? That is for God Almighty. That's not our domain. But when it comes to action, behavior, and calling out sin and standing on truth, he's already declared what is and isn't sin. He's already given us the standard. And so we are called to be the salt of the earth. What does the salt do? It slows the rot. It slows the decay of the meat. We are supposed to stand in the gap as the church, and we are to slow the rot and the decay and the depravity that is sin in this world, of this earth. That is literally our job. That's why the Holy Spirit is right here in us, so that we can stand in the gap. That is what we do. That is literally our job as the church. And so literally in Titus, he literally tells us that he has given us the authority. He literally says, do not let them disregard you. You have all authority in Christ. Stand in your authority and stand firm, stand strong. Do not just be this weak little, oh, well, I'm just not supposed to judge. I'm just going to sit at home on my couch like a good little Christian, and I'm just going to pray and hope that it all goes away. No, absolutely not. What do you think Paul was doing when he was writing all those letters, guys? He was calling out those churches. He was rebuking them. He was literally judging them. He was saying, hey, get it together. You got to stop doing this. You got to stop doing that. Oh, but this is a good thing. This is a praise, okay? Because a judgment can be a positive as well. It can also be a negative, right? A judgment can be a praise or it can be a rebuke. It's both. You are evaluating the situation and trying to figure out how God wants you to act in that situation. So yeah, at the end of the day, we are called to rise up, to stand in the gap, stand on truth always, and to call out sin. You can't, part of giving people the gospel is that they have to recognize that they are a sinner in need of a savior, and that savior is Jesus Christ. You cannot bring people to repentance if they don't even understand that they are a sinner in need of a savior. And part of that is it's a rebuke. You're calling them out on their sin. At the end of the day, you're judging them, right? As we just put this negative connotation on the word judge, and it's like it's not a bad thing, guys. You need to judge actions and behavior. That's what you've been called to do. So stand up and do it.
And you need to be just as harsh on yourself as well and hold yourself to that standard. And that's where it comes from. Like the Sadducees and Pharisees, like they were doing all these evil things, but they made a living of going around telling people how crappy they were because it made them feel better about themselves. And this is
why being in a church is a good thing, because the church brings a level of accountability, right? We're supposed to be repenting to one another, praying for one another. That's why fellowship is so important. That's why all of those things are important, so that there's accountability there. Because you need people to hold you accountable as well.
Yep. So don't just stand by and be observers, folks. Get in there and do something, whether it's this or anything else. It's important.
That she tries to come across as very knowledgeable about. But even a statement like that, with like the multiple LLCs and all this stuff, you can pay LegalZoom to do your state filings and stuff for you, and you never have to touch a
thing. Yes.
And she tries to act like she's this expert on things, but then she says things like that, and it makes you wonder, do you have any idea what you're talking about?
Well, that's why I said that a perceived place of authority. That's why I said that, because people do listen to her. And you just said multiple LLCs. I have multiple LLCs. I've had multiple businesses and brands. And so when you realize that is Erika, she questioned her degrees and what she does. And I'm like, Erika is a brilliant young woman. And in any other situation years ago, without a Candace in this, people would be very much in admiration of the way that Erika has handled herself, of the way that she stepped in. It's a biblical, virtuous woman that steps in to continue her husband's legacy.
Absolutely.
And so when you look at this from that standpoint, and you realize she built brands. She lived in New York. She continued with brands. She met Charlie. Her life changed, which is what we talk about: become a wife, become a mother. I literally am the same exact way. I had my business. I took off 18 years to raise my children, and then I'm back in the game again. But everything has been a continuation of my character to have that depth to it. And Erika's the same exact way. And so all these multiple brands that she's talking about and questioning everything, if you understand the entrepreneurial mindset and the integration that Erika had, even like if you look at Proclaim, for instance, she had the idea, she wanted to do it. It was an amazing thing. It was buy one, give one, all the things. She was busy and she kept talking about it. And I go, give me the graphics. So she gave me the graphics. I built the samples and gave them to her for her birthday. I said, now go. and then all of the content and all of the context. I've been in fashion for years.
Yeah.
And so it's like you mentor someone.
That people are now using those fashion photos against her,
Yes,
as if she
yes.
was some gold digger.
Oh, it's
trying
crazy.
to yeah,
And
it's
I
ridiculous.
styled most of the photos. I was there. And so that's why I
Oh,
wanted.
so you were there for these
I was
infamous
there.
photos.
Yes, I was. I was actually there whenever Charlie proposed to Erika, because
Wow.
and again, a very privileged, intimate place to be to witness these types of things. And so there's so much there that people don't understand, and I don't fault them. And I actually forgive Candace for all of this, to be honest with you, because I think she's being used.
You're better. You're better than me at this current moment. I'm not.
I
I'm
do.
not
I
there
think
yet.
she's being used, and so and I think that when someone is being used for evil, again, it's not my place to judge someone. It's my place to amplify the good.
Yeah.
It's my place to speak truth about someone that I know and that I know is doing great things in the world.
All right. Another thing that Candace is just fixated on, and I almost feel like she's fixated on it because it's almost like, feels like potentially a power trip, like being able to claim Charlie. In fact, I made a video about this, and it's the whole Catholic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I got nothing against Catholics. I'm not a Catholic. I'm a Protestant, not because I'm anti-Catholic. I'm
Right.
just not Catholic. I made a video saying it feels like she's trying to, it feels like her and other people are trying to claim Charlie.
Right.
And I said in my video that I made, the only people to get to claim Charlie are his Lord and Savior,
Yes.
Jesus Christ, Erika,
Right.
and his children.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
it. His parents too, but I mean, he's a grown man. He's married with kids. Like
Correct.
it's God, his wife, his children. Was Charlie Catholic? Was Charlie enrolled in OCIA courses and things like that? Like
No, and it's funny because on the conversation with Candace and I, she brought up all these things, and I know it was because of my relationship with Eric. I'm sure he was not taking classes. She said that people told her that he just liked the architecture, and so I threw myself into that because my husband's Catholic. My older daughter is Eastern Orthodox Catholic. I love going to the church to sit in it in reverence and tradition.
Beautiful.
Yes, that's literally, and again, it's not that deep. That's literally what it was. So he was not Catholic. He was not taking classes. He was doing none of those things, And so I think that whenever you try to, and put it in your words, claim something, again, you're hijacking the actual message of Charlie's faith and questioning where it comes from, what the foundation is. And I think Charlie was crystal clear in that. Yeah. And so to try to, again, poke holes in this and hijack this is what Candace is doing. And
moments before he was shot, Charlie proclaimed that he was a faithful evangelical. So to try to say that he was doing anything else is to call Charlie himself a liar.
Even in this situation, which she doesn't get to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a natural lead into the next thing, and I hate to even have to talk about it, but again, the obsession with the Catholicism thing, I don't know if she feels like maybe if she can prove it, she gets to claim it, or maybe if she can prove it, that might upset some donor. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And that's the psychosis, to your point, of this whole thing.
Correct.
All of these things that we're talking about, what does it matter? Mm-hmm. Even, okay, Erika apparently had a boyfriend or something before Charlie. Mm-hmm. Who has it? Well,
so the one thing that Candace continually does is any of these areas that are unknown, right? We have this vacuum of information. What she does, she exploits those areas and she fills it with her own narrative. And that's what she does time and time again. And it's always this evil thing, like this, like there's lots of things that we could talk about that we could speculate on, right? If we sat around and we came up with this, like one item, I don't even know what it could possibly be at this moment, but there's a lot of stuff that are clear unknowns when it comes to what happened with Charlie Kirk, their relationship, or whatever else. You know what? You can use the example of the missing picture. All right, the missing picture. Most of us would look at that and we would come up with like 10 plausible items. We could go 10 on the positive. Hey, you know what? This is plausible. Erika Kirk moved it, or kids moved it. Somebody moved it from the set because for whatever reason. And then over here on the negative, you know what? Maybe they didn't want it there. Maybe whatever. But then on the furthest extreme on the negative is this one thing that is the least plausible, but it's the most evil thing that could be attributed to this situation. And it's that item, no matter what it is that narrative that Candace Owens picks every single time. And it just shows you that she's not a good faith actor. It's not something that anyone that is fair and objective would choose, but she goes to that every single time. And you know, it's insane. Lucas Raised Works with the big $200 super chat. Thank you, buddy. And I know you were at the shop the other day. Summer told me you came by. Next time that you're coming up to the shop, make sure you let us know. I'll be there. Want to come hang out with you. Timothy 6:12, fight the good fight of faith. Thank you both for speaking out. Thank you, man. And I appreciate all the business you do with us up at the shop as well. Donald J. Skywalker, God is in control. That is true. As the Bible says, faith without works is dead. Works is many things. And in my humble opinion, standing for truth is one of them. Good to see you again. God bless you. You as well, bud.
I haven't had a boyfriend, but
Careful.
but who had? Yeah, that'll be the next thing. But like, okay, I dated other women before I married my wife, and my wife dated other men before she married me.
Right.
It's
And
not on the screen again, Gary.
the whole thing is turned into this whole things that are completely normal in life. Even if Charlie did like, hey, I like this part of Catholicism, but I can't like I like that.
Right.
You know, he said something along the lines of Protestants may have overcorrected with Mary, which I also agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
That as Protestants, we don't give Mary her due enough. We don't venerate her enough. We don't honor her enough.
Yeah, she's kind of important.
Very important.
Yeah.
That I agree with wholeheartedly. Yeah. I love the Catholic Church and the adoration that where you can just go and you can just
that's what Charlie loved to do.
You can just be with the Lord. I love those things. Why does it matter?
I think just if I looked at this from a 30,000 foot view, I think it's just that she methodically wants to try to tear them down and is trying to connect dots. Like I said earlier, they don't connect. So even to the dating part of it, right? I met one of Erika's, ex-boyfriends, big deal. Yeah. I mean, none of this stuff matters, and that's what this whole expose, from what I'm understanding, is she's trying to put this timeline together to where Erika's not this and she's not this but there is a consistency of character that people that know Erika. And so none of these things are criminal. Like I said, I mean, if Charlie loved to sit in a Catholic church because he loved the reverence and the tradition, so I do the same thing.
Lock him up for doing such a thing. How dare he?
But I think it's to seed the doubt, it's to seed the implication, it's to let somebody then draw their conclusion through their psychosis to come to the other side of this is what actually happened.
They're hiding things from us.
Exactly. And that's the interesting thing in the world today. It's like, because I thought about it too. It's like, if you don't say anything, then silence means compliance. If you do say something and you're coming out ahead, then you have something to hide. Yeah. So you really can't win. So do what you got to do and do what's right anyway.
Candace is putting the seed of doubt that it's not a lie, but if they will lie about Charlie being Catholic, what else will they lie about? Yeah. Well, the same thing with what we've debunked already.
Correct.
If Candace will lie about that, what else will Candace lie about?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Another conspiracy that was going around, circulated by Candace and many others, was Charlie even buried? What was the burial? Did the burial actually happen? Why do we not have any proof of any kind that Charlie was buried or where Charlie is buried? Well, and then my response was, well, because he was just murdered. So if people knew where he was buried, they'd desecrate his burial, all of this stuff. Can you confirm to the world right now that you know for a fact that Charlie Kirk was buried?
Yes. And my question to that, or my statement to that, is your entitlement is deafening.
Yeah.
Because
I wasn't invited to the private thing. You don't hear me whining about it.
No, I mean, and believe me, I wish I wasn't there. And so, when you witness that and then you realize the climate of the world, Erika did everything she needed to do to protect that and for her children.
And rightfully so.
And for her children. I mean, they have a memorial at TPUSA if you ever want to go and give your respects, but you're not entitled.
You're not, absolutely.
And that's where
this is a real family, real lives. They deserve to have the privacy to go visit her husband and their dad.
And their daddy.
And people like this is not, no, like it makes zero sense.
I mean, imagine though, Graham, imagine someone actually having the mindset that you take that away from Erika and you take that away from the children to basically go in private and to, you know, honor their dad. These kids are forever impacted.
Yeah.
And Erika has done a beautiful job with building a village, you know, around her children to have the influences that she knows that are important.
Well, my message to people watching this is simply this. One day, the Kirk children are going to grow up and they're going to ask the question, where were my daddy's friends? Where were my mom's friends? And why didn't you do something? Why didn't you say anything? And that's one reason that I have been so vocal, is not only my love for Charlie and ergo my love for Erika through Charlie,
Correct.
but also for his children.
Yes.
Because the Kirk
That's my
children
heart.
are going to grow up.
Yes.
They're going to become adults. And Lord help all the people that have turned on their mother and their father. And I just, not me. I'm not getting to heaven and the Lord looking at me and being like, why did you not do anything? I hate to bring this one up, but I have to. Candace has now gone on this thing that Erika is some sex trafficker. Yeah. With this Romanian charity organization and things like this. And I bring this up because to my understanding, you were involved in this.
Yes.
Can you explain to us in very layman's terms what this charity was? Because
So just so everybody's clear, I know, again, to us fair-minded folks out there, as we're watching this proves a lot that a lot of what Candace is saying is a lie, and it has said. That's not how she's going to view it. That's not how the Candy cultists are going to view it. What they're now going to do is they're going after this lady. They're going to say she's complicit and that she's covering for him and that she shouldn't be trusted, and they're going to be going directly, including Candace. Candace, this lady now has a target on her and her family because of what she's saying. And it's going to happen. So this isn't going to change anything for Candace or the Candace cult. It's just, anybody that's thinking that, stop thinking it. It's not going to change. I don't know. Might change 5 minds at all, if that.
I understand it was more of like a Toys for Tots type thing.
Correct.
Than anything else. Can you just can you help us debunk this? Erika was involved in this Romanian child sex trafficking scandal.
It's getting so crazy. So the Romanian Angel Project was part of one of her projects underneath her LLC that she has a nonprofit for, because it was not just one thing, it was multiple things that she wanted to actually be involved in and help. And so she came to me and she's like, hey, I want to do this. There's an orphanage that we can go and we can find out their needs. And again, I've said this to people. Well, don't you think you know what their needs are? No, I don't. And I want to make sure that we're getting them something. I don't know how these kids live in Romania. Okay. I know how kids live in here and they're entitled, but I mean, you know, they're simple things. It was, you know, toothbrush, games, books, MP3 players, I think, and coloring things or whatever. And it was a list. And so we got the list. And then families, there's multiple people that would donate or would be a part of it. And so we would go and my daughters would go with me. And the thing for me as a mother was just that I wanted my girls involved in this. And I trust Erika explicitly with what she chooses to get behind. And I want my daughters to experience helping someone else. And so we would go, we'd purchase the gifts that were on our list. You would pick either a boy or a girl or whatever it was. And we go, and then we intentionally created a tether, I guess. So I would buy specific Christmas wrapping paper, and then my daughters would wrap the paper. And then once these gifts were delivered with the help of the military, because we couldn't ship direct.
Yeah, the Marines were involved in this.
Exactly. So, and we packaged.
Seems like very verifiable stuff, Candace, but either way.
I know.
Go
ahead. So we would wrap everything up. We had a day, you know, at Erika's house or at where Lori lived. And so we would wrap everything up. It was a day. Everyone was there, prayed over all the gifts, just wanted it to make an impact. And then they would go. And I never went to Romania. I wish I would have gone to visit, but I never did. My kids were younger then. And so she would send a video back of this actually being done, which I know she did that because she wanted things to be.
It's on YouTube. I've seen it.
Yes.
It's like
and
12 years old video.
Exactly.
It's on YouTube.
It's been there forever.
Yeah.
And then my kids, you know, selfishly, my kids would see the video and they would see their Christmas wrapping paper. And they were like, we did that all the way around the world.
Yeah.
And so, but you don't get to hijack something so amazing as what this was. And that was Erika's heart. And her 501c3 was started out of the death of one of her friends.
Right.
You know, as a teenager. So this is her heart, you know what I mean? And so the Remaining Angel Project is interesting because people interject all the child trafficking, all the sex trafficking, all the things, right? Has nothing to do with what she did.
Right.
Does it happen around the world? It happens here in Phoenix. So yes, it does.
Yeah.
And it's horrific. So if somebody's worried about that, get involved locally.
Yeah.
You know,
Atlanta is one of the biggest hubs
Yes.
of sex trafficking here in America. So everyone who lives in Atlanta is a sex trafficker.
right. Proximity is
Proximity
what we're saying.
is all these things. And not to downgrade the charity at all. I think that's amazing what it was, but
It's not that deep.
correct, right? Like, you know, the way it's been thing is this super in-depth, lots of money exchanged
Oh.
and all this other kind of stuff.
Oh,
It sounds like there was no money exchanged.
no.
And it was just people almost like, what do they call it at churches where you take the name off the tree?
Christmas Angel.
Yeah, Christmas angel.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
Yeah.
It seems very similar to that.
And just that time of the year. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes things aren't that deep. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Sometimes they are really simple.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what this was. It was just a simple thing to be able to give back. That was literally it.
Mm.
And those of us that were parents in it, we wanted our kids to see it, you know? And so that's where, and the conversation of like what you said a minute ago, throwing around the money and all that kind of stuff, that muddies the water of what the mission actually was, because there was no money.
Right.
There was nothing involved in any of this at all.
Well, Ms. Tracy, I appreciate your bravery and all of this, but I have to ask you a personal opinion question to end this thing out. I've reached out to Candace multiple times, text the number I had for her multiple times, figured, well, maybe she's changed her number. So I reached out to a mutual friend, Brandon Tatum. I said, Brandon, will you give this message to Candace? This was months ago. I was like, I need to understand. I just want to understand why she's doing what she's doing. She's never spoken to me, but she's spoken to you. So my question to you is, I don't believe that Candace secretly loved Charlie and all that. I believe that she loved the power that Charlie potentially had, my opinion.
Right.
I do not believe she actually wants the truth in what happened to Charlie Kirk. I believe Tyler Robinson, my personal belief, should get the death penalty, and his justice is coming. Again, my belief. Why do you think Candace is doing what she's doing? After speaking to her, why do you think that we are where we are having this conversation right now?
And again, it's my opinion as well, but observing after the phone call and the behavior, I just think she wants to destroy Erika, and I think she wants to destroy Turning Point. I honestly do. I think that it's a combination, and it may not even be that deep for her. You know, I mean, there's money involved. She's making a lot of money off these podcasts. And then she brought up, well, Turning Point's making a lot of money. They should. Charlie paid with his life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what her intention is. I asked her what her end game was, and she said to find truth. And I said, if that's the case, do you have the humility, and this is my thought, that you possess to pivot and right this wrong? You know, because ultimately I believe that if you are in that position and you find out information that is true and factual, which is what you say you want, when you have that information in front of you, you have a responsibility then to right the wrong. And so, and I actually asked her that just to throw this in there. I asked her that on the phone call. How are you going to right the wrong against my family? And she said, I will instantaneously put a message out. And that didn't happen.
Whoa. Okay. All right. So on your phone call with Candace, you debunked certain things.
Many things.
And she said on the call that she would, like in a week, immediately.
Instantaneously was the word.
She said she would instantaneously make a correction. And as of the time of this filming, when did you speak to her?
Last Sunday.
Last Sunday. So as of the time of this filming, she has not kept her word.
No. And she did say she was not filming this week, you know, and I'm like, well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to put a message
she
out.
said she was going to put a post out.
Instantaneously, yes. And the other thing that I addressed to her was about other people that are doing what she's doing, and the gentleman, Stu Peters. And he has taken her content and included myself in all of his content as well, and done all these bashing. And I said, your friend Stu is doing the same thing that you are doing. And she said, well, he's not my friend, but I would be happy to reach out to you if he's giving you headaches. That didn't
Reach out
happen.
to him. Okay. all right,
To stop, because we realize these are not connecting the way that you want them to connect, or her words are tracking.
So I guess my biggest question is, if Candace can't keep her word about something as small as putting an X post out to correct something, how can the viewers that watch Candace trust her to do anything?
Well, and especially I'm a little peon. I'm a nobody. It's just that you picked the wrong person, because I don't believe you get to do this. And so I don't believe that there is a core of honesty to actually right these wrongs and to turn things in the right direction, to seek truth if that's what you want. So the instantaneous message didn't come out. It didn't right the wrong. And that's why I reached out to you, because I needed to do this for myself and for Erika, and ultimately for Charlie, because I think you are degrading Charlie's legacy by doing this to his wife.
I couldn't agree more. Ms. Tracy, I applaud your bravery. I thank you for sitting here with us and actually doing what Candace claims that she's doing, putting facts to everything, putting truth to everything, actually having these conversations and not having conversations behind closed doors and then telling people their side of the thing. This is you. This is your 15 years of lived experience with Erika, and God bless you for it. Thank you for standing up for Erika. Thank you for standing up for your friend. But even if she wasn't your friend, thank you for being willing to take the blows that came before this and will probably come after this. Is there anything that you want to say to the people watching this at home?
I really just think that most people need to have the courage. They need to realize that when you know something that is true and factual, logically address it. Don't go through the chaos. Don't be sucked into the machine, because you will become the machine eventually. There's no ways around that. And I think this is really easy to do. I mean, I appreciate your words, but it's easy because the truth stands on its own. And so there's nothing to hide. I'm happy to have confrontational conversations with anyone because I stand on that truth. And I know that God is all over this conversation. And I know that he knows Erika's heart. And that's really all that matters. It's no one else's job to judge another. And if you are a Christian and if you are a believer, I think you should get back in the word if you're questioning that. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. All right.
Well, I'm curious to know what you all think about that. And I just wanted to let Storm Pooper know that we are getting his super chats through. And Storm Pooper, your chat is coming through. Actually, I should just be hiding these. Should just wait till you get to 10 of these. And then I'll tell you finally, oh yeah, they're coming through. They're coming through great. Only
Be an
$50.
honest person, darn it.
Only $50 super chats come through, Storm Pooper. No, they're coming through, buddy. I put that one up there
Candace
earlier.
is gonna be pissed. That's what I think.
Yeah.
She is not gonna be a happy camper.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Candace is losing followers. Craziness didn't track my Seeking 6 arc on the way, though. Awesome, man. Awesome. Glad to hear, Steve. You'll love that Seeking 6 arc. Okay, 10 and 20 super chats didn't go through. $2. They went through, but they went through. I put them up as soon as I saw them, even though I didn't mention them and stop the video. Maybe either Candace Owens cult and or Google is blocking my $10 and $20 super chats. They're coming through. They're coming through. Sorry, bud. But I appreciate it. I appreciate that you still paid for them. Appreciate that very much. Yeah. So what's your thoughts? What do you think is going to be the blowout against Tracy? Do you think this is going to change minds on her side of the aisle? Because I'm not convinced that it will.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've got those people that are just so far in deep that I don't know that we can ever pull them out at this point. I think that there will be those people that have kind of been teetering on the edge of Candace is a little crazy, but I don't know, she's got some good points. So maybe they've got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It could change their perspective. But the people that are full in deep on this thing, again, this is why we call them a cult. I don't think I'm in your camp. I don't think that they're going to really do much at the end of the day. And a lot of this is pride and arrogance, right? It's so hard to admit that you're wrong. It's so hard to look yourself in the mirror and be I was wrong about that. And truly, that's one of the hardest things to do as a human being. And so it's just, they're so in deep, and their own pride will not let them get out of it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned in the chat, has anyone checked to see if Candace sent a tweet out to respond to this? So far, I don't see anything that she sent out to respond to this. So that's where we're at on that.
She's not going to be a happy camper. I don't think that she's going to change her narrative at all. She's going to keep it pushing. I mean, we've had multiple things that have shown that she was blatantly lying about stuff, and she has just kept it pushing. So I don't really see how this is really going to be much different, unfortunately. I mean, a lot of people have said in the chat, she's just making way too much money, dude. Way too much money.
Yeah. And I think she will go down. She will go down. She will never admit that she's wrong. She'll just lose too many followers. It's easier to convince her followers that everyone else is lying, no matter what comes out. We could have the Tyler Robinson trial tomorrow, and they could show all the evidence, and Candace will still deny it, and she will sit there and say all of that's made up, none of it's real, and all of her followers will continue to believe that, and they'll say that this lady is paid by Israel, paid by TPUSA. They'll continue to undermine and try to destroy her credibility, just so that Candace's lies can stand as truth. That's what we're going to see. So she's dug in too far. And on top of that, we have no history of her ever admitting that she was wrong or ever going back to correct the record. She's never done that. Never.
One of the things that I did want to tell you guys. So as someone who lives in Phoenix, this is the most ridiculous thing. In her whole Erika's a Groomer episode, she said that the reason that Tyler Boyer chose Turning Point headquarters location is because of its close proximity to Arizona Mills Mall, and it is heavy for trafficking. Now, that is true. It is heavy it is one of the number one places that people are kidnapped from in our area, but it's known for a lot of stuff. I mean, there's been shootings in there. There has been, it's just a bad part of town, and malls attract those types of, we call them mall rats. I don't know if you guys
And by
remember
the
that,
way, I guarantee you 90% of that can be traced back to Latino illegal alien gangs.
At the end of the day, so Phoenix as a whole is the kidnapping hub of the United States. We've actually surpassed Mexico City for the amount of kidnapping. Now, it's gotten better because they finally closed the border, secured things, all of that. But when it was wide open territory, here in Phoenix, I'm 2 hours from the border. At the end of the day, if someone wants to snatch your child, I mean, you're looking at they're going to be gone into Mexico, before you even know what has happened. Unfortunately, it is not hard to get them across that border. And if they get them across that border, you're basically never going to see them again, unfortunately. And yes, there's a lot of cartel activity. It's the whole illegal border situation. We're right here. We're a border state. Again, we're only 2 hours from the border. So that's where a lot of that comes from. It's not this particular mall. It's the whole crux of the thing, right? But all that to say, Turning Point headquarters, again, I've been to Arizona Mills. I've drove past the headquarters. It is not right across the street like she claims. So you actually have to go across the highway. Okay, so you have to cross the highway, and then it is 5 miles down the street after you cross the highway, and then go 5 miles down the street. You can literally pull it up on Google. I have it in a snapshot, but you can pull it up. I've got the addresses. You can plug them in and show the distance. It's literally like a 5 to 6 minute drive of separation. Which anybody knows with Phoenix traffic, that can easily jump up to 15 to 20 minute drive around here. But anyway, it is not right across the street like she's claiming. It is across the highway and then another 5 miles. It is 1.1 mile distance from each other. So anyway, I just had to bring that up as someone who literally lives here. When she said that on her show, I was like, no, it's not. No, it literally is not. She's lying. So blatantly lying. Again, you can literally pull it up on Google. It is so ridiculous. So the Arizona Mills address is 5000 South Arizona Mills Circle, Tempe, Arizona. Oh, you got it? Okay, yeah. Yep. You can put it up on the screen.
Let's pull this up so we can show everybody. Yeah. And look, this goes back to how dumb, they were trying. One of the narratives that Candace and her sycophants were trying to push was that Charlie's security team didn't take him to the nearest trauma hospital. That was a lie. And by the way, you could look it up very easily. I showed it days after she said that and days after that was being pushed around. And yet, they just continue to, it's still being pushed around. It's still being said.
See that big ass highway in between? That's across the street, according to Candace. I literally pulled this up on the map and I was like, you've got to be kidding.
So there we go, folks.
Literally, Turning Point has a Phoenix address, and the mall has a Tempe address. Now, you can literally, as you're driving through Phoenix, you can literally, 1 minute you'll be in Phoenix, the next you'll be in Tempe, the next you're in Ahwatukee, the next you're in Gilbert. I mean, they do kind of all bleed together. There's ways to know where you are, but that aside, these two locations literally have different city addresses because they are located technically in different cities, if you want to be technical. So,
well, at least one of those words you said you made up right on the spot.
Ahwatukee?
Ahwatukee.
It's a real place, I swear.
I'm sure it is. Steve Gransberry says Candace has been proven wrong and still won't retract. She could push on a pull door and argue with the door.
Literally, she would argue with the door.
Like
if it
far
made her
shot.
money, she would do it.
Yeah. Stay at 922. God bless you both. For the record, Candace is a monster. I agree with that assessment.
She is the Frankenstein that the conservative movement created, and apparently they ran cover for her for over a decade. And I said something about that when Graham Allen came out and I said, at the end of the day, like, I'm glad that people are finally coming out and saying something, but at the same time, somebody somewhere has got to recognize that they created this Frankenstein. She is the Frankenstein monster that they created, and they literally like covered for her for all of these years about how behind the scenes she's a completely different person. Why are we just now finding this out? Like, that is not okay that you allowed us to support and prop this person up for years. Like, that's just not okay. Like, they should be ashamed of that. And I think a lot of them are obviously realizing now. I think that that's one of the biggest regrets. If Charlie could come back tomorrow, I think his support of Candace Owens would be his biggest regret and the biggest mistake of his life, for sure.
Tina Marie said, I was invested in the beginning because I truly believe she wanted the truth. But after a little while, I saw right through it. Even sent stuff to the tip line and then regretted playing a part of it. Yeah, and look, this is what these shows are for. Is to reach the reasonable among us and to make people that aren't aware of what's going on aware. And it gives them an opportunity to see the other side of it and not just surround themselves in that echo chamber or, you know, their little thought bubble that they got going on with the Candace Owens crew. Because there's much more evidence, thousands of times more evidence that Candace Owens is lying than she is telling the truth, or anything that she's saying is actually true. And, you know, whether if you're just a person that's objective, common sense, and fair-minded, this is not hard to see through. And this is why I'm so on this thing. And I've said it a million times, and I'll continue to say it. If you can be tricked by Candace Owens, and that's what's really scary with this country, if you can be tricked by Candace Owens, when another psyop comes along that's much more sophisticated, I am concerned of what we're going to be able to be tricked into. Because if we can get 7 or 8 million people believe in what Candace Owens is spewing, we have a problem in this country, because it's not believable. It's not believable at all. And yet people will go down and defend her at all costs. It's mind-blowing to me. Yeah.
It's sad to see what this has become. It's going to be interesting to see how the midterms play out. That's for sure.
I agree. I think
and how much damage this has really done, because I think it's done a lot of damage, unfortunately.
And the issue that I have with the midterms is not just Candace, but there's many others right now that are trying to convince you, that are on the conservative side, that are trying to convince you that you should be voting come the midterms, that Donald Trump is actually worse than Joe Biden, which is absolutely insane, folks. Like, we got to get our heads out of our butt and make sure that we understand what we're dealing with. And remember, don't get caught up by all of, look, if you're buying into the things that Donald Trump hasn't done yet, then you're buying into a left talking point that is now being regurgitated by the right. They don't, if you want the left to win and go back to what we were dealing with during the Biden administration, then fine, don't vote. Don't vote in the midterms. If you're just so sick of the system, if you want to completely lose this country, don't vote. I'm not saying that Donald Trump, there's a lot of things to criticize with the Trump administration, but I don't care what administration you have. There's always things to criticize. You can't get everything done in the first year. He's only been in office a year, but he's done some pretty tremendous things. First and foremost, locking down the border. That has a tremendous both economic impact and a national security impact on what's going on here. And he is deporting people. So that's what they want you to believe, so that you don't vote because for some reason they want the left to win. And it's Candace Owens, it's Nick Fuentes, it's Tucker Carlson, many others, Ian Carroll, Ryan Mata, now it's Baron Coleman, all these people that are surrounding Candace, they're all saying the exact same thing. And it doesn't even make sense. Yeah. All right. Well, we covered a lot today. We covered what we weren't expecting to cover, but it was probably
thanks, Graham Allen.
It was probably less exhausting than having to deal with Zach today. I'm
whooped. My brain is like mush at this point. I'm like, I need to go eat and take my makeup off and go just like I just want to lay in bed and just veg. I've had so
too.
and
Me
like
too.
yesterday I was prepping for like my conversation with him, so I'm like, my brain just needs to.
Yeah, I want to go take my makeup off too. So I feel you. I feel you. Let's see here. Got like one more super chat, and we're gonna call it a day. Real truth, I follow Gary for guns, Candace for entertainment. Second, whatever you call her stuff, deleted for now. Get guns and entertainment here. There you go. All right, folks, listen.
Come
really
for the guns, stay for the entertainment.
That's right. We'll give you both. Don't worry. We're going to give you entertainment, guns, and truth. Like you get all those things. That's what you're going to get from us. Truth. And if I get something wrong, I'm going to come back and tell you that I'm wrong. Like I don't have a problem doing with that. Like, you know, integrity is more important than views. It's more important than a narrative. It's more important than all those things. And that's all that really matters. Truth is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. And we need to get back to that. Well, listen, folks, we really appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate all of your love and support. And I want to make sure. Thanks for your dedication to exposing evil. Thank you, Janet. There was somebody the other night that I missed a super chat. She hit me on X. Folks, I promise you, I never intentionally try to miss a super chat. Sometimes it moves on me and I just miss it. If I ever miss one, send me an email, send me a DM on X. I promise you I'll do everything I can to make that up to you. I really will. We always want to take care of you and do our best to make sure we get your voices heard, and we appreciate you investing in us. Again, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, go become a member, go down in the description below, become a member. And on top of that, make sure you go follow LisaKnows on X. She's on TikTok. Where else are you? Instagram? I think that's all I got down there.
TikTok, Instagram, and X. Yeah.
I don't think you got me your Instagram one, but I'm sure if you look up LisaKnows on Instagram, you'll be able to find you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go follow me on X as well. Go become a subscriber on X. That helps us as well. And again, folks, we appreciate you tuning in. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to have you on again. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about in the near future. If you need anything from me,
we should definitely do it again sometime. This was fun.
I would love to. You tell me when, we'll make it happen. I promise you.
Sounds
All right,
good,
folks, you have a wonderful night and have a wonderful weekend. And until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you.